The views and opinions expressed by the guests, callers, and hosts on this and all Rense Radio Network programs do not necessarily reflect or agree with those of the network, its commercial sponsors, its radio station affiliates, or Internet broadcast platforms. In these controversial times, we believe the First Amendment and freedom of the press are absolutely essential to the survival of our nation. Thank you. And now, enjoy the program.
Okay, here we are, and this is going to be a night to remember. I hope all of you are ready to sit down, put your feet up or whatever. 3 hours of history-making radio coming your way tonight. 3 remarkable human beings will be here, most notably, of course, David John Oates from Adelaide in Australia, a man who has spent 33 years developing his understanding and making contributions to all of us with his brilliance in the field of what he calls reverse speech. Most all of you know about it, I'm sure. Joining us tonight will be the single most remarkable researcher of the JFK murder and assassination and all the rest of it, of our times, of all times, James Mars. Jimmy Mars, 52 years and counting, researching the JFK murder. He talked to and has known all the principals who were alive back then, most of whom are gone now. He's put it all together in his book Crossfire. A new edition came out on the anniversary. It is the book to get. And we're going to hear from Jim tonight as we listen to David John Oates' reverse speech. Remarkable display of all the key players, which were actually made, without their knowledge, of course, back in the day during the time. And also joining us tonight, Dick Allgire, one of the most gifted remote viewers in the world, easily, if not at the very top, who has remote viewed the JFK assassination and has been on this program before, along with Jim. We've talked about his remarkable work. More to come from Dick Allgire in the weeks ahead. He's working on an absolutely sensational project. We'll tell you more about that in the future. But first, let's start and say hello to Dick. Are you there, Dick?
Hi, Jeff. Aloha from Hawaii. We're really spanning the globe tonight, and I'm just thrilled and honored to be on with Jim Mars and David John Oates. Wow. It's going to be fun.
It's going to be amazing. All right, Jimmy, are you there?
Howdy from Texas.
Howdy. How are you?
Howdy.
How's that Mercedes?
Oh man, it's chugging right along.
It's still not pink, is it?
No. Still blue gray.
I love that color. All right, we'll talk more about that privately. Now, David John Oates has, as I said, given a gift to the world. This is a gift. It is, to keep it simple, the ultimate human lie detector test. We have a subconscious or a superconscious mind that is with us always, and it is always communicating. during our forward conscious speech. All of you, I think, know very well what reverse speech is, so we're not going to spend a lot of time on that. Welcome back, David. How are you?
I'm doing great, Jeff. How are you? And to
good.
The other two, gee, I'm so honored to be in such an illustrious group of people tonight. This is very exciting.
It's an extraordinary event, a remarkable occasion. You called me weeks ago and said that you were so excited that you really had never looked into the JFK murder like you have in the last month or so, and what you have found is staggering.
Yeah, well, I really hadn't planned to look into it. I've had a couple of reversals on Lee Harvey Oswald for many years, but they didn't really make much sense to me, and I didn't really look much further. But I was getting ready for one of my shows, and I was going back into some of my old archives, and I found this reversal from Lee Harvey Oswald that I've had for 20 years, and it said all three men are now walking. And I go, what does he mean by all three men? What on earth is he talking about? And so I started digging, and that led to one thing, which led to another, and before you knew it, and about a week later, I was right into the whole JFK assassination, trying to unravel it. And one lead led to another, and the plot just kept on getting thicker and thicker and more involved and complicated, and I was obsessed.
We want to also remind everyone, if you go to the right-hand column at Rense and just scroll down there below the radiation box and then the Donald Trump speech reversals box that David John Oates has been so kind to put together, we've got that up there. Right below that is the JFK Assassination box. The programs that we've done in the past that I alluded to earlier with Jim Marrs and Dick Allgire are there. You can listen to them. What we have done here is bring together the three most important research efforts into the JFK murder that have ever occurred, I believe, on this planet. And tonight, David John Oates is going to bring us his speech reversals, which are going to stagger you and stun Dick Allgire and Jim Marrs, because it all locks together perfectly like a hand in a glove. It's amazing. David,
I'm always delighted and honored to be on with Dick Allgire, because since I literally wrote the book on remote viewing and have even taught it myself and practiced it, I see him as probably one of the best ones going right now. And David John Oates, I want to say it's a privilege to be able to talk with you too, because I've followed your work for a good number of years now. And I think you'd probably agree with me. I don't want to take any one reverse speech comment and base a whole, standard of truth on it. But I have seen over time how valid that your work actually is. But I just wanted to start to kick this thing off by saying, before we get into the reverse speech, let's consider what Lee Harvey Oswald said in his own speech. He said, yes. No, sir. They asked him if he had killed anybody, and he said, no, sir, I didn't shoot anybody. I'm just a patsy, okay? Now, that's pretty incredible, because saying I'm a patsy implies that he was set up to take the blame, right? A scapegoat. And yet we've had, we had the Warren Commission, we had the House Select Committee on Assassinations, we've had the Church Committee, we've had the Assassination Records Review Board. So we've had about 4 government investigations to the Kennedy assassination, and in not one of them did they consider that, I wonder if Oswald was telling the truth. Maybe we ought to look for evidence that he was just set up, to be the patsy. But they never did. They always started with their preconceived idea that Oswald was guilty, did it all by himself, and then investigated from that standpoint.
You know what amazes me is to think and contemplate how Oswald must have felt when he figured it out before he was killed. He must have felt amazing betrayal, a phenomenal crisis in his soul. He knew he had been set up in the biggest crime of the century.
Yep. We know who that was like, Jeff?
Huh.
That was comparable to my generation that went off to fight in Vietnam, and now people that are going off to fight in Afghanistan, fight in Iraq.
Uh-huh.
And I think the biggest sense they come back with is we were betrayed.
Absolutely. You got it. Dick Allgire in Hawaii. We've done programs before. We also had Daz Smith on, another gifted viewer. Your work in remote viewing the JFK assassination was so amazing to Jim Mars, and you can hear that program again. It's in the right-hand column. And I urge all of you to listen to all the programs. But Jim was so amazed, he said, my God, I've heard more evidence tonight from Dick Allgire than I've been able to put together in 52 years of research. It's amazing.
Well,
and it all fit perfectly.
Yeah, I don't know if I deserve that compliment, but speaking of Lee Harvey Oswald, when he was realizing he was the patsy, I think in my session, when I had the young guy walking down the street that we think might be Lee Harvey Oswald, I got into his mind at that moment, and that would have been going from the book depository to wherever he went before he went to the theater. He was very confused, like, what the hell is going on? And he was fleeing, but not fleeing. He was like, he needed to get somewhere, but he didn't know where he wanted to go. He wanted to go to a meeting. What I felt was primary in his mind was there's somebody he had to meet with to validate him, and he didn't know how to get a hold of that person, and he frantically wanted, someone can vouch for me, and I've got to get to him. But just that moving to be moving was my sense of him.
Just an amazing thing to contemplate. Go ahead.
Yeah, well, Lee Harvey Oswald's reversals, as you'll see, totally verified that he was telling the truth when he said he was a patsy. They're totally congruent, and you'll see that as I play it. And I don't know why anyone, as Jim said, has never taken his words seriously. Anyway, you'll see tonight that he was indeed telling the truth, and he was a patsy, and he was set up. And I don't want to give too much away. All
right. Well, let's. Anything to add, Dick or Jim, real quick here?
I'll add real quickly that I met David John Oates at a remote viewing conference in Las Vegas.
Las Vegas, yeah.
A few years ago, and we spoke, and we've conversed via email. And I think one of the most important reversals that you've done in recent times, David John Oates, was Lavoy Finicum, when he was in the car about to be shot, and he said in reverse, "I'm not armed, I'm unarmed."
That's exactly what he said.
I heard that on the show, and it was chilling.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Reverse speech has opened the doors to such astonishing human experience. Wow. Jim, you want to say anything else here?
No, don't get me started on Lavoy Finnegan. I mean, there's so much macro scandal going on, but this was a plain out-and-out murder of an honest, God-fearing, law-abiding American citizen trying to stand up for constitutional rights, and the government murdered him, and people need to understand that.
Indeed.
Yeah, those reversals went up on my website this morning, so you can go to the reverse speech site and listen to the ones on Lavoy Finicum. So.
Very good. All right. David Oates, the floor is yours, Maestro.
Okay, so let's begin. Okay, now look, I don't pretend to be an expert on the JFK assassination. Let me state that right up front. And I'm sure Jim's going to be able to add some understanding that I don't have. Most of the work I've done has been in the last week. I've gone to the internet, looked at videos, and tried to piece together what I've found. But I do claim to be an expert on reverse speech. So what we're going to do, we're going to start off with this is the reversal I've played on the air many times. This is the second example of reverse speech that I ever found. And this is a live commentary of the assassination. So here we go with the forwards.
Just a moment, please. Something has happened in the motorcade route. Stand by, please. Parkland Hospital, there has been a shooting. Parkland Hospital has been advised to stand by for a severe gunshot wound. The president's car is now going past me. The limousine is now traveling at a very high rate of speed.
Okay, this is a very well-known reversal. In reverse, he's shot bad. Hold it. Try and look up. Very clear example. I'm sure you'll agree that's all fairly clear. And
and again, what I want to say just one time tonight is the more intense the human experience, usually the more clear the reversal.
Right, exactly right. Yes. And it should be noted that a lot of these reversals I found, you'll be stunned at how clear some of them are, particularly around the week of the assassination. And I've looked up beyond that, and the reversals drop off in clarity and in frequency. So, but right in the week of the assassination, they were very, very clear.
Wow.
Okay, now we're going to look at some interesting reversals on Lee Harvey Oswald in 2 radio interviews and a TV interview he did in August of '63, 3 months prior to the assassination. Now, very interesting reversals because they clearly show that he knew that something was happening. And so we're going to start off with the first one. And here we go.
Well, as I say, Castro's Cuba, even after the revolution, was still a one-crop economy.
And this one says, I'm not too sure what this one means. It says a week's attack.
A week's attack.
A week's attack.
And again.
A week's attack.
And he uses the word a week's attack. He uses the word a week 3 or 4 times throughout the whole of this interview. Now, I should say, reverse speech is normally complimentary. It normally relates to the forward. But in this one interview with Lee Harvey Oswald, it doesn't relate to the forward. There is a second subscript going on. Then we hear this reversal here. We'll run this one forwards.
The fact that I did live for a time in the Soviet Union gives me excellent qualifications to repudiate charges that Cuba and the Fair Play for Cuba Committee is communist control.
Now, I've had this reversal for about 15 years, and I've never really known what it means. There's 2 sentences right next to each other. It says, hear them, is the first sentence, followed by the wish to kill president. So here we go.
Hear them with the wish to kill president.
Hear them with the wish to kill president.
Hearing that one okay, Jeff?
Oh, it certainly is there. The wish to kill president. Yep.
So there's two key aspects of that about that reversal. First of all, hear them. So he's listening to others. So there's other people involved, and he's aware of a plot to kill the president. So
could it be, David, that when you say week, the word week was in there, that the entire operation would take place over the period of time, a week?
You put the words right in my mouth. I was actually going to say that when I played a couple of the ones ahead. So yeah, you're one step ahead to me. Yes, I believe this was a week operation to take place over a week. So he says, hear them.
You know, that interview, I believe that film clip was from his radio talk in New Orleans, right?
Right. Yes, it was. Yes.
Okay, so that's the late summer of '63. And according to his girlfriend there at the time, not his wife, but his girlfriend, Judith Berry Baker, that he was aware at that time that there was plotting against Kennedy, and so he was acting on behalf of the U.S. government as a low-level operative, and that's so he was playing a role, but he was also aware that this assassination talk was going on. In fact, probably was trying to pay close attention to that to figure out what was going on.
Oh, well, there you go. I wasn't aware of that.
Go ahead, Dick.
Let me ask a question of Jim. Wasn't there some evidence, Jim, that Lee Harvey Oswald stopped an assassination attempt in Chicago, that he was an FBI informant and there was someone named Lee that that tipped them off?
Yeah, that's it's true up to a point. It's not been definitely proven that was Lee, but I strongly suspect it was. A few weeks before the actual assassination, Kennedy was to make a trip to Chicago, and the FBI suddenly put out word that they gotten word from an informant that there was to be an assassination attempt, and they changed their plans all up, and that never quite happened. But according to the first black Secret Service agent who was in Chicago at the time, he said that all he knew was the informant's name was Lee. So I strongly suspect that, yes, that was Oswald. We also know that, or I can't prove it because the FBI took it up, but there was a letter to the Dallas police a week or so before the assassination warning them that there was going to be an attempt on President Kennedy's life, and it was signed Alex J. Hidell, which was his alias, the alias of Oswald, of course. And the police, at that time, they had no idea who Alex J. Hidell was, so they simply filed the letter away. But then Friday of the assassination, over that weekend, I was told by a lot of the police officers that the FBI came into Dallas Police Headquarters and just rummaged through the whole place, ransacked the place. They even went and looked in the saddlebags of motorcycle officers, looked through their lockers, and anyway, this letter then was taken and has never been seen again. So there's an indication, though, that Lee, in certain ways, was trying to warn people of what was going to happen. He told his girlfriend, Judith Baker, that she begged him to get out. He said, I can't get out. He said, if I try to get out, they'll kill me. And he said, but if I stay in, maybe that's just one less gun shooting at Kennedy.
Wow. Well, he never knew that he was already a dead man.
Right. Well, I think he knew there was a big plan. I think he knew he may have had some role in it, but I don't think he realized probably until after he had left the book depository that I think he began to dawn on him that he was the designated patsy.
That's why I mentioned earlier, I can't even imagine what that must have been like for a human being. The enormity of that, Jim, is just really incalculable.
Well, you know, I'm certain in my belief that he tried to warn his intelligence superiors in the government, and I think he was thinking, well, you know, they'll let this go right to the 11th hour, and then they'll step in and stop it, you know. And when it actually happened, I think that threw him into total confusion because until then he'd been playing spy games. But he always reported back to people in the federal government, and I think he felt like, being a patriotic, honest American, that, you know, he was doing his bit and that they'd take care of him.
They'd take care of him, yep.
You'll see that by the reversals. Everything you've just said, I've got in the reversals.
Okay.
That's amazing. Okay.
Go right ahead, David.
Great, okay.
All right, so now, the next reversal, he mentions one of the names of the people well, okay, let's just play it.
These peasants are uneducated. They have one of the lowest living standards in all of the Western Hemisphere.
And here he says, evil soul of Hoover.
Evil soul of Hoover.
Evil soul of Hoover.
You hear that, Jeff?
Evil soul of Hoover.
Yeah, it almost sounds like even soul, not evil.
Oh, even. Well, let's play it again.
Evil soul of Hoover.
I can hear the L.
Evil soul of Hoover. Evil soul of Hoover.
Well, that's the first clue.
Is that even?
No, I'm hearing evil.
Evil? Okay, I got an N over here, but that's no big deal because the issue is Hoover, and there it is.
The issue is Hoover, and we're gonna talk a lot about Hoover. I've got a lot of reversals on him that will. Well, I don't want to give it away.
Okay.
All right. So here we have the week again. Let's run this one forwards.
The principles of the fair play for Cuba consist of restoration of diplomatic, trade, and tourist relations with Cuba. That is one of our main points.
And here he says, a week to kill powerful.
A week to kill powerful. A week to kill powerful.
You hear that one there?
What is it, David? A week to kill what?
Powerful. P-O-W-E-R-F-U-L.
A week to kill powerful. Okay. Would you play that again, please?
Sure.
A week to kill powerful. A week to kill powerful.
You hear that one there?
I thought he said president.
Sorry?
I thought he said president. A week to kill president.
You know what? Someone else said president to me when I played them that.
Let's go one more time on that.
Run it again.
A week to kill president.
You know what?
I'm with Jim on that one.
I'm with Jim on that one too. You're absolutely right. Someone else told me it said that too. Okay, well there we have the week again. Okay.
Yeah, that's the second time. A week to kill president. Wow. Now
So he knew it was going to take place during that week when Kennedy was traveling to Texas.
Exactly right.
Yeah. Now, David, a quick question: was this information known consciously to Lee Harvey Oswald at that time,
Yes.
or was he picking any of that up from the ethos?
This is known consciously. Otherwise, he'd be speaking in metaphor.
Okay,
that's
very good.
The difference between the metaphor. If it's an unconscious, it's going to have a high cryptic metaphorical content to it.
Got it. Okay.
But these are straightforward, everyday reversals.
All right. So it sounds like it was a week-long operation, Jim Mars, and set up and all the rest of it. And we got 2 times now a week. All right, David, go ahead.
All right, next one along.
And at no time was I out of contact or with the American Embassy.
And here he says, it's a mighty crime.
It's a mighty crime.
It's a mighty crime.
Wow.
It's a mighty crime.
Super clear.
Yep, super clear. That's the phrase that you are going to see come up a lot in these reversals. A grave sin on LBJ, enormous crime on one of the senators, Senator Russell.
All right. Don't give it away. Let's go. This is
I'm sorry.
amazing. David, by the way, David called me at least twice, so excited about this material. He said, I have never in my career come across material like this. He was just amazed. And yeah.
I haven't got to the good stuff. Where's just
well, that what we just worked on, and Jim pointed out, and he's right, that the word is president there again.
It is.
Yeah.
It is, doesn't it? Yes, someone else told that to me. All right. Should have listened. All right. Next one along. Here we go.
And because of the fact that the United States government has imposed restrictions on travel to Cuba, he is now under indictment.
And here it says, the week to love modern, and a 4-letter word starting with S. So here we go. Lee, comma, the week to love modern blank.
The week to love modern skits.
The week to love modern skits. The week to love modern skits.
And that tells me that modern technology will be used in this week-long operation. Is how I interpret.
In other words, high tech in planning and execution.
Exactly correct. Yes.
Very well. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, that's exactly what that tells.
Well, that's what Dick Allgire was able to come up with his remote viewing, and Jim Marr's research also. This was a very, very well done, executed, no pun intended, operation.
And I must say, I did see the remote viewing video 2 or 3 days ago. I watched it, and it's almost identical to what I've discovered in reverse speech. I was just stunned. I was just amazed by what I saw.
Well, hey, David, truth is just truth.
Yeah, I know. You're absolutely right.
You and I, Dick, we're not telling anything but what we know, or at least believe, is the truth.
All right, okay, so the next one, where's it gone? Hang on. Now I've lost it.
By the way, while you're looking, yes, there was high technology involved, particularly in radio communication. They were using some of the latest, at that time, the most recent and most technologically advanced radio-type equipment.
Yeah, very good.
All right, look, you know what? The reverse I'm looking for has disappeared from my folder, so I'll just play it straight off my website. So we'll just go down. This is an important reversal because it shows he has some knowledge. Let's run this forwards. And here we go.
You cannot point at Castro and say that he is a Russian puppet. He is not. He is an independent person, an independent leader of his country, and I believe that was pointed out very well during the October crisis, when Castro very definitely said that although Premier Khrushchev had urged him to have on-site inspection at his rocket bases in Cuba, that Fidel Castro refused.
And here he says in reverse, the weakness is in the car.
The weakness is in the car.
The weakness is in the car.
car's a bit short. And then that's the weakness. That's
wide open. Of course.
Yeah. The weakness
amazing.
Is,
yeah.
So he's got knowledge of this plot. Okay. Here, the wish to kill president, a week to kill president, a week's attack. So this is a week-long operation.
And he's going to be shot in the open-topped car, the limo.
Right.
Amazing.
Exactly right.
Can you play that one, please, again, with Lee Harvey Oswald with the word president at the end? That was another biggie.
Okay.
If you can find it.
Yeah. That's okay. I'm just going off my transcript. I think I closed it out. A week to kill. Okay, it's still open here. Okay, here it is. A week to kill president. Let's run it forward.
The principles of the fair play for Cuba consist of restoration of diplomatic, trade, and tourist relations with Cuba. That is one of our main points.
Okay, a week to kill president.
A week to kill president.
Yes, there it is.
A week to kill president. A week to kill president.
Jim Mars, he knew. He knew the plan. He knew the basic game plan. He had it in his mind, all of it.
Right, and I mean there were others. The Joseph Miltier, the right winger in Florida, had told a police informant. And they had it recorded. This was about a week before the assassination, and he said, "Yeah, he's going to be shot with a rifle from a high building while riding in the car." So this apparently was known among the people involved.
Wow. All right. David, go ahead.
All right, this next one, I'm not too sure what it means. I have questions over this one, but we'll play it. Here we go with the forwards.
Well, that is, of course, very provocative and question. I don't think it requires an answer.
And here he says, made a powerful gun.
Very powerful.
Very powerful.
But this was 3 months beforehand. Now, I know with the interviews with James Files, he talks about ammunition.
Oh, yes. Jim Mars?
Yeah.
What was it again? Made a powerful gun?
Yes, but this was 3 months beforehand.
Okay. Is he talking about the special rounds that were to be fired?
That's entirely possible. The bullet had been loaded with mercury so that it would explode. So yeah, that's possible.
All right, that's a very powerful gun. Okay.
Yep. All right.
Can I
Yeah, go ahead, Dick.
something here?
Go ahead.
Okay. I did reversals on my own session and found a few. And one, when I was looking at the guy that we thought was maybe George Herbert Walker Bush, I'm probing him, and I say he has the gun. He has the gun.
Oh,
Would he have
interesting.
been a person, Jim Mars? What was he an operational guy at that point? Would he have been arranging guns?
I wouldn't think so. But then, stranger things have happened. Maybe he was in a position to receive a gun from one of the shooters and take it out of the plaza. Because there are
play that later. There was something to do with somebody's got the gun when I was looking at the planners, but okay. We'll go back.
Well, they had this for those of you who are new to the subject or maybe the program content and the idea we're putting forth here is that this operation was so high tech, equipment and planning, that the guns were passed off and removed by second and third parties immediately after the shooting.
Yep. Anyway, we're going to get moving on here. I got a lot of reversals.
Go ahead,
through.
David. Yeah, we'll back up.
All right, here's the next one.
I think it's rather obvious as to why and when and where, because of the fact that we certainly don't have any trade with them. We are discouraging trade with that country.
And here he says, they're powerful.
They're powerful.
You got that one?
Yeah.
So the people involved in this are powerful. Now, here we have a reversal that's very important. I wish it was clearer. Normally I'd throw this one out, but it's such an important reversal, I want to play it, okay? So here's the forwards.
And are you a Marxist?
No, this is from his TV interview, okay? It was just a small little 2-minute clip.
And are you a Marxist?
Well, I have studied Marxist philosophy, yes, sir, and also other philosophers.
Reversal says, here to serve White House. But the house is long and drawn out, and the S is a fair bit after the house. It's one reason why I normally wouldn't use it. So see if you can hear this.
Here to serve my house. Here to serve my house.
You hear that?
Here to serve my house.
I certainly hear house, and that passes, David. I don't think it's too long. I can't make out the beginning, though. That's right. A tough one.
Yeah, that is a bit of a tough one. It's significant, though, because it shows he was working for the U.S. government.
Well, White House on there at the end is there for sure, and I don't think that house is too long. I think it's fine.
Okay, all right. And that fits with what you've found out too, Jim. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct. In fact, there was a secret group formed by Kennedy following the Bay of Pigs when he felt like he had been double-crossed by not only the Pentagon but the CIA, and he set up his own little committee called the Kennedy Committee, KENCOM for short, and he was trying to go circumvent the Pentagon and the CIA to try to get information coming straight to the White House. So it's entirely possible that Oswald, as a low-level intelligence agent, had been recruited into KENCOM, and he might actually have been reporting things back to the White House. And then, if you'll think about that, that would make it absolutely perfect to name him as the assassin, because then Robert Kennedy would have to clam up. He couldn't admit that he knew about Oswald ahead of time, since all of the evidence was pointing towards his guilt, and they got rid of a double agent in the process.
Okay, all right. That's all I got on Oswald for the first for prior assassination. Now we're looking at Oswald from his short comments after he was arrested. Okay, so here we have the forwards.
Right, these people have given me a hearing without legal representation or anything. I didn't shoot anybody, no, sir.
And here he says the killer was careful. You hear that one?
That's a little muddy in the beginning. I hear was careful, but I can't make out the beginning.
Okay, all right. Well, then we'll dump it and move on. I don't want to work with reversals that you can't hear. Okay.
Well, I think maybe if you study that more later and enhance it, you might get that nailed down. It's just a little bit muddy, but now that's fascinating because I want to say one thing, and I'll get out of the way.
Yep.
Lee Harvey Oswald and Jim Mars, that man is telling the truth. You hear it in his voice, not only just now, but in the earlier interview. He is a young man, very intelligent. He's speaking the truth. He's not BSing or lying. And when he said, "No, sir, I didn't shoot anybody," man, he's telling it straight. That's the way I hear it.
Yeah, well, listen to this one.
True, and if you listen to the complete interview with him on New Orleans radio, he's supposed to be this crazed lone nut assassin.
Oh no,
he is very, very smart, and he rattles off numbers and statistics and information about Central and South American countries. I mean, the guy knew what he was talking about. He was a good study.
Very good.
Yep.
All right.
All right, here he is again.
You find that rifle just as fast as you people have been given, but I emphatically deny these charges.
Emphatically denies his charge, and he says, "See, I'm the give up."
Be down, but you got. Be down, but you got. Be down, but you got.
Hear that one, Jeff?
Yes, I do. See, I'm the give up. He absolutely emphatically denies that again. You're right. Wow. Stunning stuff.
When he says, "I'm the give-up," that's essentially saying I'm the sacrificial lamb, right?
Right. I'm the scapegoat. That's it. All right, David, go ahead. Whoop! Did we lose David? We might have lost him. We'll get him right back if we did, unless certain people don't want this program to proceed without impediments, which could be the case. Didn't hear any drop-off there, but we'll get him back. All right, so far, Lee Harvey Oswald is coming forward, Jim Mars, impeccably. I mean, I am shocked. He is a very upstanding, obvious professional in the field of intelligence work.
Right.
And as you said, he's no dummy, man.
Well, and let me back up a minute here. There was mentioned starting in the program the fact that I think you mentioned it, that he was felt betrayed, and both I think that both David and Dick were saying that he was looking for someone to contact. So let me give you this little scenario, and most people don't know about this. While he was in the jail there in Dallas, you're supposed to get your phone call. Well, there was a telephone operator there, and she was just coming on to duty, and the regular phone operator was still at the switchboard. And while she was there, these two guys in suits came in, federal officers apparently, and talked to the main switchboard operator that was actually working there. And they said, "You're going to get a call from the jail in a minute." And they said, "We need to talk to you." And they took her off and talked to her, and then she came back. And sure enough, a few minutes later, a call came in from the jail, and she wrote it down. And I am looking at a copy of the receipt because the news operator that was coming on duty knew this was from Lee Harvey Oswald. I mean, he's all over the news. She knew this was a big deal. So she made a copy of the long-distance message slip, and it was from Lee Harvey Oswald to a Mr. John Hurt, H-U-R-T, in Raleigh, North Carolina, and there were two numbers given. It was also a collect call, which is, of course, what you do when you're in jail because you don't have any money. And the operator that was there on duty did not even try to place the call. She simply said, "I'm sorry, there's no answer at that number," apparently following the instructions of these federal agents. Right. So the alternate operator thought that was kind of strange, and she kept this, and she then turned it over later to the House Select Committee on Assassinations. Now, they checked to find out who's this John Hurt and of these numbers, and the numbers they had for a John Hurt in North Carolina was a retired military intelligence officer, who had been president and teaching at Nags Head, North Carolina, where my friend and CIA pilot Tosh Plumlee said he met Oswald during training while he was in the military and training for his spy work, and that this John Hurt had been there. That was his contact. He was trying to make
his handler.
His contact with John Hurt, who, as a retired intelligence officer, could not be traced to him and or anybody else, but John Hurt could have put him in touch with his controller.
Fascinating.
And yet the federal government stopped him from making the phone call.
Wow. You back, David? We don't have him yet. All right. We will get him. If we have to, Todd, just get him on the regular telephone. David was on Skype. And we'll have to use a regular landline if we need to. And the reversals will be clear enough. Hopefully we can get him back on there. All right. Dick Allgire, in your remote viewing, you had what you thought was Lee Harvey Oswald, a young man walking down the street. But tell me a little bit more about that.
Well, at the time, I didn't think it was Lee Harvey Oswald.
Now you do. I got it.
Well, now I do. Yeah, at the time, I had no idea what the target was. I popped onto Target, and I was on a street, and this young guy came up and looked at me and walked by. And my feeling, like I said, was that he was very confused at that moment. Just needed to get somewhere, needed to get to a meeting, and just felt like something had gone very wrong, but he didn't understand how or why. That was my sense of it. And then as I was doing that session, the thought of, okay, I've got to meet with these guys, I said to myself in the session, well, who's he got to meet with? And then I went to the planners. So it's an interesting thing. Hey, Jim, have you ever played with remote viewing? Have you ever tried? I mean, not remote viewing, reverse
The person
speech.
whom you're trying to reach is currently unavailable. Please leave a message after the beep.
Well,
that was an Australian operator there.
Yeah. I told the network to try to get him on a regular landline, and so that was what you just heard there. I'm now beginning
to... Dick, in answer to your question, I have some experience with remote viewing, and in fact, I've done some pretty good remote viewing myself, not as good as you. But no, I have not really dabbled myself in reverse speech, but I've found the whole subject quite fascinating. And as I told David early on, I have followed his work, and I am a believer that there is some validity to it.
Okay, here we go, gentlemen. Let me ask you to pause on that. David has rejoined us, and we're going to go right up to the top of the hour, Todd, and pick up the minutes that we've just had to sidestep there. What happened, David? Any idea?
I called back on the phone.
Okay, so you are on a regular phone. All right, good. Yeah, well, I don't think that was an accident. I'm not surprised. All right, go ahead and let's proceed.
Okay, see if you can hear this reversal. See, I'm the give up. That's the last one I played. I'll play it again.
All right, yeah. See, I'm the give up.
Okay?
Yeah, yep. We got it.
So he was a patsy. That's exactly what he says forwards. He's the one who has given up. He suddenly realized, oh, I'm the one who they've set up for all of this. I'm the one they've given up, if you know what I mean.
Oh, sure. Okay? Scapegoat, you bet.
Yep. All right, so next one along.
I like legal representation. These police officers have not allowed me to have any.
And here he says, I'll reveal the killer.
Oh, that's stunning.
Right. So he was ready to say what he knew as soon as he got legal representation, because that reversal occurs right as he says, I'm lacking legal representation. So as soon as he got that, he was ready to talk about what really happened.
He was going to sing, Jim Mars. That's amazing.
Yeah, now do you understand why they had to activate Jack Ruby to shoot him down in the basement of the police station?
They didn't waste time. They called that plan out.
They couldn't wait, because he would, if he thought he had gotten in a safe circumstance, I think he would have spilled the beans. He would have told everything he knew.
Well, he had been betrayed so hugely that, no oaths, no promises, nothing. They're all out the window. He was going to tell it exactly like it was. Wow.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Now here's reversal that got me started on this whole adventure. Here's the forwards.
I didn't shoot anybody, sir. I haven't been told what I'm here for. You have a lawyer? No, sir, I don't.
And this reversal says all three men are walking.
All three men are walking.
You hear that one?
That is so clear, it's scary.
Yep. So 3 men involved, or 3 teams. Men could be metaphoric for team, I don't know, but
sure.
But he knows of 3 separate men or teams,
trigger men,
who are
shooters.
Walking away. They're walking away, and neither one they've given up.
Yeah.
This is what's going through his mind. Oh, the 3 men are walking. I'm been given up here. I'm going to reveal the killer.
The 3 men, Jim Mars, the 3 men would be the 3 shooters, correct?
This is standard sniper tactics, a triangulation of fire, 3 shooters, okay? But I think obviously there were 3 shooters, but there were 3 teams, because each shooter had probably at least one backup, somebody to protect him while he's shooting, and somebody to police up the spent cartridges and eliminate any evidence of the scene. This is standard military intelligence sniper ambush techniques.
Amazing to hear. You can play that one more time if you want, just the reversal.
Yep, sure. All 3 men are walking.
All 3 men are walking.
That's pretty clear.
That's damn clear. Wow.
Yeah. I thought, what three men? Who's he talking about? Right.
Yeah.
All right, so that's what I've got on Oswald. Conclusion, he knew about the assassination attempt at least 3 months prior. He was not the shooter. He was given up, but he knew who the shooters were, and he was ready to start talking.
He also knew that the assassination was planned to occur with Kennedy in the open-top limousine on the road. Wow.
Yep. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Yep.
This is stunning.
Okay,
all right.
Let's move on.
All right, who's up? This might be a good place to pause for a few minutes. Who's up next on your list?
LBJ and then Hoover.
All right, let's take our break and get that done, and maybe we can come back a little early, depending if you can get. Is your internet still down?
Yeah, I don't know what's wrong. I don't know why it's down. I'll have a look at while we're on that break.
All right, we'll take a break and be back in just a few minutes. A remarkable first hour, and I think a lot of you have heard more about Lee Harvey Oswald from Lee Harvey Oswald than you ever have before, and what he was thinking and what was going on in his mind when he realized he had been left to swing in the wind. Wow. Be right back. Hold on. David John Oates is back as well, and he's back up on Skype. Are you there, David?
Yes, I certainly am. Can you hear me okay?
Very good. All right, and Dick Allgire in Hawaii is standing by, the wonderful remote viewer, and we've got programs up with Dick on the site at Rense. You can see and click and listen anytime you'd like. Are you there, Dick?
I'm here, Jeff, standing by.
Okay. And
can I put in a quick plug? The actual remote viewing, you can see all the raw sessions that Daz Smith and I did. It's a streaming video for purchase at farsight.org. So if people go to farsight.org, they can watch that. Thanks for letting me say that. Yeah.
You bet. All right. James, are you there?
Oh, yeah. Ask me if I'm surprised at what I'm hearing.
What do you? Well, that was my next question. How do you feel about what you've heard so far?
Well, can you spell validation?
Total, with a capital V.
There you go.
If you would, David, play that last reversal, the three men running. I want to hear it on Skype, as our listeners will be able to hear it a little bit more clearly than on the phone. Get this now. This is Lee Harvey Oswald after the shooting, in custody.
All three men are walking.
Yeah.
All three men are walking.
All three men are walking.
Is that clear on Skype?
All three men are walking.
Oh, my God, that is so clear. It's eerie.
Is that clear on Skype?
Yes, it is. Oh, yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, the real bombshells are yet to come, and I'm aware we're running out of. I don't know whether I'm going to get through all of these.
All right, we're going to be quiet. You go ahead.
We will give it a big shot. Okay, now these ones on LBJ are a little bit out of order, unfortunately, so we'll just play them, and the picture will gradually unravel.
What raced through my mind was that if they had shot our president driving down there, who would they shoot next? And what was going on in Washington? And when would the missiles be coming?
Okay, 2 sentences here. He says, adjust now, wash the head, fake the brow.
Adjust now, wash the head, fake, that's all. Adjust now, wash the head, fake, that's all.
Can you hear that one okay?
I do. His allusion to head, washing the blood off the head, whatever.
and brow had been surgically altered, I saw on a...
That's also correct. Jim, very quickly, the surgical alterations of John Kennedy's head by somebody included that brow area, correct?
Well, yeah, I believe so. It's to the top of the head. That is all in the FBI report. The two agents that attended the autopsy, they said there was surgery to the top of the head. They recorded that in their FBI reports, and of course, there was not supposed to be any such.
No, none. That's
you know what I think it means. Can I say real quick what I got out of that one?
Go ahead.
I think you might want to play it again. I think Johnson is giving a rehearsed statement, and he's saying, like, tilt the, how do you move your head, watch your brow. He's trying to act serious, like, oh, I've got to make my brow.
Oh, he's posturing. I got it. Yeah,
that's possible too. Yeah. Well, when I found it, I thought it meant altering the body. That was
all right. Well, he may be just drilled, and he's subconsciously thinking about how he has to physically act and present himself at this moment. Yeah, let's play it again.
It may be, Jeff, that I'm a TV guy, and that's what I was thinking. Like,
very
if you're
good,
making
Dick.
a serious statement like that, yeah. Keep your head canted a certain way. Keep your brow, make your brow go a certain way. It gives it a more serious.
Very
anyway,
good.
That's
all right.
Interesting.
Play it again, David.
Okay, here we go.
Adjust now, wash the head, fake that's all.
Adjust now, wash the head, fake the brow.
Adjust now, wash the head, fake that's all.
Yeah.
So he's maybe saying, watch the head, like watch out what you're doing with your head. Watch the head, or is it wash?
It could be either.
All right. Well, anyway, all right. It's a possibility that it cuts both ways. Okay.
All right. Now we come to a very aggressive reversal.
And the Attorney General of the state holds courts of inquiries every time a law is violated. And the Justice and the FBI makes these investigations. So I want you to know that. You'll tell your press man that that's what's happening, and they can expect it.
And here he says, I ban...
Who is that?
Oh, that's LBJ. That's LBJ.
It didn't sound like him. All right.
Oh,
Very
yeah.
good.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Yeah. Do you want me to play it again?
No, that's okay.
And he says, I banned that faggot.
Yeah, he's making the second. Yeah, he's making the second.
Very clear.
And what was the forwards, David, please?
The forwards was talking about the Justice Department and the FBI making an investigation.
Oh, my. You know who the faggot is.
Tell me.
Jim, tell us who the faggot is.
Yeah, that's poor old Lee.
That's who?
Lee.
It's not Lee. No, he's talking about the FBI. He's talking about J. Edgar Hoover.
Oh, I see.
Yes. Right. Do that again. We'll get through this. We have to come back tomorrow. We'll do that too. But play that again. I believe he says I banned that faggot. I don't think LBJ liked Hoover, and I think that's who he's talking about.
All right. So here's the reversal again.
Yeah, he's making the second. Yeah, he's making the second.
Just keep in mind that he's talking in forwards about the FBI, and it's right there.
It was someone who he clearly didn't like. So.
Yeah. Did we know, Jim, real quick, did he have any kind of a relationship with Hoover that worked, or did it not work?
Well, no, actually, they'd been pretty good friends. They'd, there's all these stories. Of course, some of that might have been just propaganda. I'm sure that both of them were jealous and leery and suspicious
of each other. Sure.
But they had worked together. I don't know. Number one, it was hard for me to clearly understand that one. And it could have been referring to Hoover, who we all know now was a homosexual. But also, there was a lot of homosexual activity mixed up in the assassination. There's all kinds of allegations about Lee, about Jack Ruby, about the people in New Orleans, and so he could have been talking about most anybody.
Play that again backwards, if you would, so Jim can hear it again. Listen for the word faggot. You'll hear it, Jim. It's very clear right at the end.
Here it is again.
Yeah, he's making the second.
Quite clear.
Yeah, he's making the second.
Strong aggression on the word faggot.
Yeah.
Well, if he is referring to Hoover, and he says, what did he say? He's going to
I banned that faggot.
Yeah, that would be essentially that I've got him roped. I've got him controlled.
Got it.
Oh, you ought to hear Hoover's reversals.
All right.
All right. Okay, let's move on to another one. This one is just a straightforward, where is it? This is just straightforward operational stuff.
We salute you for knowing how to take good men.
And he simply says, command, they get run on officials.
Them just get run on officials.
I want to remind everyone that all the syllables are there. They always they have to be there.
I just think, he's just in command. He's organising the whole thing. He's getting ready for the Warren Commission. You have to see the reversals I've got on that.
Right.
He's just organising the whole thing.
Okay.
So that's just a straightforward one. Then we have this one here.
Just picking out a Tom Dewey lawyer from New York, send him down on new facts. This commission thing, Mr. Herbert Hoover tried that, and sometimes a commission that's not trained hurts more than it helps.
And here he says, it was madness that I had doubt.
It was madness that I had doubt. It was madness that I had doubt.
Hear that one okay?
He said it. Scary clear. Clear.
I just think, personally, I know the whole reversals. I just think he's thinking, he had doubt before all this thing started, whether it was going to work, and it did work, and, he was saying, I shouldn't have doubted. Right.
Wow. Yeah, makes perfect sense. Play it one more time, just the reversal. Jim, go ahead.
I like what he said going forward when he said, we got to have a well-trained committee.
Oh, yes,
you got to have one that's going to do what you want them to do.
That's funny. All right.
It was madness that I had doubt.
It was madness that I had doubt. It was madness that I had doubt.
Very clear.
Okay, now he understands he's got the committee that he wanted. They're all going to support his story.
Yep, exactly right. Yep, that's exactly how I interpret it. Okay. All right, then we've got this one here. Oh, this is a bit out of order. This is from his address to Congress on the 27th of November, I believe it was.
For 32 years, Capitol Hill has been my home. I have shared many moments of pride with you. Pride in the ability of the Congress of the United States to act, to meet any crisis, to distill from our differences strong programs of national action.
Here he says, it's no good that I'm a poison.
It's good that I'm a poison.
Hear that one, Jeff?
Yeah, it's all there. Not quite sure. How do you interpret that? All the syllables are there. Yeah.
Yeah, it's all there. His actions have been poisonous. He is a poisonous person. He touches death wherever he goes.
He's the central figure in this whole horror show. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. One of them, anyway. All right. Yeah. Good.
We still haven't got to the best ones yet.
Uh-huh. All right.
Okay, so this is another one. He's just preparing for the answer.
Too many cooks messing with the broth, they'd mess it up. And I think that these two are trained organizations. And the Attorney General of the state holds courts of inquiries every time a law is violated. And the Justice and the FBI makes these investigations. So I want you to know that, and you'll tell your pressman that that's what's happening.
And here he says, let's offset an answer.
That's offset an answer. That's offset an answer.
There he is.
That's offset an answer.
In other words, let's construct a plausible explanation.
Let's lie.
Yeah, exactly right. Yep. And you can see him planning out in his mind. He's planning out his steps and actions and what he's going to do. And then his unconscious comes back and says something quite amazing. Here we go.
Two things. Apparently some lawyer in justice is lobbying with the Post because that's where the suggestion came from to this presidential commission, which we think would be very bad. Put it right in the White House. we can't be checking up on every shooting scrape in the country. But
now here he's worried because they're talking about a commission, and he's worried. This is right, I think, the day after or 2 days after, and he says backwards, "You will not burn history."
Here ran off any history. Here ran off any history.
And again.
Here ran off any history.
So eventually the truth is going to come out. He can't cover up history, is how I interpret that.
Yeah, very good. Wow.
Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
How are you going with these, Dick and Jim? You hearing all of these?
Yeah, I am. And that fits into, it's interesting, Johnson, who should have been leading the charge, saying, no, it's just lone nut, that's it, that's the end of it, there's nothing else. He actually dropped hints now and then. He said, Oswald's a very intriguing fellow. And he said, on a couple occasions, he said, yeah, I think there might have been a conspiracy. And I think he said that because he knew deep in his heart that truth will out and that someday everybody know the truth, and he didn't want to look like a dumbass.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was trying to protect his legacy. That's it.
Yeah.
All right, here he is talking about the state inquiry in Texas.
General Texas to make an announcement this morning, of a state inquiry, and that you can offer him your full cooperation, and vice versa. He'll do it with you.
And this reversal says, paid the mayor off.
It's been the hair off. It's been the hair off.
Yeah.
Tell me about that one, Jim.
Okay, well, the mayor of Dallas at that time was Earl Cabell. Okay, it was his brother, General Charles Cabell, who had been fired as deputy director of the CIA along with Allen Dulles because of the Bay of Pigs invasion, the fact that they were doing things behind the president's back. In fact, in my investigation of why the Bay of Pigs failed, it failed because they failed to carry out a second planned airstrike that would have totally knocked out Castro's Air Force, but the first airstrike was successful, but then the second one was called off, and that allowed Castro to use some fighter planes to attack the Beachhead and the ships, the Barbara and the Houston, the two ships that were supplying the Bay of Pigs invaders, and that's what essentially caused the Bay of Pigs to fail. And I tracked that back, not actually to President Kennedy, but to General Charles Cabell.
Right. Okay. Well, the name Charlie comes up in reverse on the mayor. So,
well, that's probably Charlie.
See that as we go. Okay. All right. Now we come to a very significant reversal. Soon as I can see it. Where is it? He's talking to Dulles. This is a conversation he's having with Dulles. Where's it gone? I got so many reversals on LBJ here.
I'd like to hear some reversals on Allen Dulles.
Oh yeah, I've got a good one on him. Okay, so here we have here he's talking to Dulles.
Just get ready now to go in there and do a good job. We've got to have America's got to be united in this hour, and
try to do it in
this hour.
Try to do this to help, and you consider that my previous work, my previous job.
Yes, it's hard to hear what Dulles is saying, but you can hear what LBJ is saying. It says, I sent the money, you faked the gun.
Oh, I sent the money, you faked the gun.
I sent the money, you faked the gun.
Now that's clear.
I sent the money, you faked the gun.
Oh, yeah, it is. Yeah.
Now, I don't know what to tell you about that one. That's a smoking gun. He has full knowledge. He knows what's happened. I mean,
yes,
he has full knowledge, and he's talking to Allen Dulles. Is Dulles involved? See, Lee Harvey Oswald talks about a cabal of powerful people, and so does Jack Ruby, and we get clues as to who some of these people are. And, here we have LBJ mention the name of Nixon. Here's the forwards.
And I want it nonpartisan. I'm not going to point out I got 5 Republicans, 2 Democrats, but I'm going to do that, and I'm just then you forget what party you belong to and just serve as an American.
And here he says, I made Nixon pull up the rap.
I made Nixon pull up the rap.
So what's Nixon got to do with this? What's pull up the rap? Is that pull up the rap sheet, look into something, dig for dirt?
Unveil something?
There is a document that surfaced that back in the 50s, early 50s, when the House Un-American Activities Committee was investigating organized crime, they were going to call one Jack Rubenstein of Chicago, and there was a note sent to them saying, do not call Jack Rubenstein of Chicago for open testimony because he's providing information functions for Congressman Richard Nixon.
Oh, my gosh.
So Nixon and Ruby were connected.
Oh, my gosh. Okay.
Oh, my. Indeed. Wow.
Well, I've got an interesting reversal on Nixon coming up, too. Okay. Okay, so here he is. So here's LBJ again, mentioning another name now. And this one here, I've got, hang on, where is it? LBJ. You know what? I got so many reversals on LBJ. Where is it? Gee whiz, this is so frustrating.
It's all right.
No. Okay, you know what? I'll pull it off the website. That's what I'll do when I can't find it. That's the best thing to do.
Okay.
Here he is. He talks directly about George Bush. Here's the forwards.
I told him that you were waiting for him to come out and call on you. You tell him that's your Christmas present to me.
And here he says, I throw Bush down. I like it.
Man, that is clear.
Yes, it is.
Oh, yeah.
So what's Bush got to do with all of this? So now we've got Nixon.
I think Dick Allgire could tell you that.
Eh?
Dick Allgire would have something to say about that. Now, this isn't Prescott Bush. This is George Herbert Walker Bush, who took his young son. How old would little Junior have been, Jim?
College age, maybe.
All right. He took his son, a teenager or just past his teen years, to Dallas to watch history. That's George Herbert Walker Bush, because Junior, George W., was there in Dallas at Dealey Plaza. Go ahead, Dick.
So you hear all these reversals, and I grew up in the 50s and 60s thinking our government, we had honorable people, running things, and now you find that it's just a den of vipers. They all are interconnected, and they're all crooks, and they're all pulling something over on us. It's just so sad.
One other thing, real quick. LBJ, the way he is speaking, does not sound to me like a man who has been through a severe shock emotional trauma.
Oh, no. He's in damage control.
Of course. He's an actor. He's a player, and he's doing what he is supposed to do. And it's clear in his... Now you hear it. His forward voice is spotless. It's right where it should be. He's a player. He's not traumatized.
This is something that was known for a long time. In fact, had been published in a book that tells me something. At the Parkland Hospital, Johnson was running around telling anyone who had listened that this could be the start of a communist plot, okay? And yet, twice, not once but twice, he runs off and leaves the military officer with the nuclear launch codes, codenamed Football, leaves them behind. He's supposed to be right there at the elbow of the president, so if there's a sudden attack, he can launch a counterattack.
Right.
But Johnson, who's saying it may be a communist plot, he doesn't even bother to keep up with the guy with the launch codes.
How
he knows
funny.
better. He knows it's not a foreign plot.
Wow. All right. Go ahead, David.
So here he is addressing Congress on the 27th of November. When I heard this reversal, I just burst into laughter. I just couldn't help myself. So anyway, here's the forwards.
Mr. President, members of the House, members of the Senate, my fellow Americans, all I have, I would have given gladly not to be standing here today.
Backwards he says, see the con.
See the con. See the con.
You got that one?
Yep. Oh, yeah.
So his speech is a con.
That
okay?
that was his most dramatic speech, wasn't it, Jim?
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a con. And his subconscious is saying it. It's a con.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
An actor. All right.
Yep.
Wow.
And then he has a rather insensitive reversal.
These and other American dreams have been vitalized by his drive and by his dedication. And now the ideas and the ideals which he so nobly represented must and will be translated into effective action.
And here he says, we die in the grave.
We die in Nazareth.
We die in Nazareth. We die in Nazareth.
God, help us all, David. He's mocking.
I know.
That's a mocking tone.
Right.
Oh.
I know. You're absolutely right. I know.
It reminds me of the speech by Brutus and Cassius after they have personally killed Caesar.
Yeah. Very good point. Good analogy. Wow.
All right. Here we have the next one.
We will be unceasing in the search for peace, resourceful in our pursuit of areas of agreement, even with those with whom we differ, and generous and loyal to those who join with us in common cause.
A lying sack of Texas rose fertilizer.
The reversal says, blank them up. Okay. What can I say?
That's exactly right. Wow.
And as he's standing there talking peace, he's issued National Security Action Memorandum 273, which put us on the path to war in Vietnam and even widened it to Laos, Cambodia, and said we have to have plausible deniability, okay?
A man butchered 65,000 American boys and, 1 to 2 million at least in that country, those countries. Good
in his
God.
search for peace.
Yeah.
All right, next one. Here we go with the forwards.
We must be ready to defend the national interest and to negotiate the common interest. This is the path that we shall continue to pursue.
And here he says, I shield the path of great sin.
I shield the path of great sin.
Wow.
The great sin.
Clear as day.
I shield the path of great sin.
See, I think the great sin is a mighty crime.
Jim, that reversal right there, that man, there has never been a more evil man in this country's government than that man right there.
Well, there was one person who might have been even more evil than him, and that was his wife.
Oh, yeah, I've heard.
Lady Macbeth. Lady Macbeth.
Bad, huh? I don't know. I just remember she was a phony. What he just said was told the whole story, ladies and gentlemen, dear friends. And many of you are listening to this, probably who have never really delved into the answers, except when Jim's been on the program or Dick Allgire. But you're hearing now, this is the answer. This is the truth. This is what happened. Lyndon Johnson, right from that son of a bitch's mouth. Yeah, exactly. Excuse me. This is making me really, really upset. Play that again.
You want to get to Hoover, Jeff. You're upset now.
All right.
All right. So I shield the path of great sin. Here it is.
I shield the path of great sin.
I shield the path of great sin. I shield the path of great sin.
He's lying to America. He's shielding the truth from all of us. I'm sorry. I gotta stop.
Okay, listen to the next one. It says, this nation has experienced a profound shock.
This nation has experienced a profound shock.
And here it says, hush my fault here.
I snap here. I snap here. I snap here.
What can I say? Could you
I-
hear that one? It speaks for itself, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it does.
This was so well orchestrated. Everybody had their role to play. They all played it. All butchers. Jim, how many people were killed as a result of the murder of John Kennedy to shut them up ultimately?
Well, it's hard to say because, you know...
I don't need an exact number,
but I think we can safely put the number at somewhere close to 100.
Right, I agree. All right, very good. This is amazing, David. I really want to commend you for this. This is astonishing. And when you tie it in with what Jim has done and what Dick recently contributed and Daz, my God, it's over, folks. The lies have just been exposed.
Oh yeah, I got more to come, Jeff.
All right, go ahead.
All right, here he's talking about the brutal loss of our leader.
That from the brutal loss of our leader, we will derive not weakness, but strength.
And here he says, did you have a soul?
Did you have a soul?
Did you have a soul?
I think he's talking to himself.
I was going to ask you, is he not asking himself rhetorically? Don't you have a soul, you piece of crap? What are you doing up here?
That's how I interpret the reversal too. That's exactly what I thought it meant when I heard it. Yeah.
God, there's no other way to listen to it and analyze it. That his subconscious was repulsed at what he was doing.
Yep, you're exactly right. Can you see why I kept on ringing you, Jeff? Hey?
Sorry? What's that, Jim?
These are not sing-songy reversals.
No.
These are very clear. They sound just like he's talking. You know, some people their reversals kind of up and down and sing-song. These, like Trump's are just very, very clear. These are very clear, but in a different way.
Yeah,
Gary.
You're right. You're right.
You can see why I kept on calling you Jeff.
I do now. I understand. Wow. I haven't. Listen, this is really for a lot of you listening out there. I'm sure you feel similarly as we all do. Here it is now. Jim, 52 years, remote viewing with Dick and Daz, but the Jim's 52 years, a half century of research on this, and it's all tied together perfectly with the subconscious truths being spoken by this cast of characters that will go down in history, in infamy, forever. Go ahead.
All right, here's the next one.
On the 20th day of January, in 1961, John F. Kennedy told his countrymen that our national work would not be finished in the first 1,000 days.
And here he says, we knocked him off.
We knocked him off.
We knocked him off. We knocked him off.
There you go. You
God.
You want a smoking
What else
gun?
do you want?
Yeah, you want a smoking gun? There it is, full knowledge. This was a coup d'etat. It was a change of government. It was no doubt about it.
We knocked him off. The cold-hearted killers. Yeah, and I must say that even to this day, that attitude is not only pervasive, but it is fundamental to the overall government and foreign policy of these formerly United States.
Yeah. Yeah.
Human life means nothing.
This is when we lost the republic. And by the way, I'm not surprised at all of this because I still have the newspaper I worked for in 1975. The headline story that I wrote said they were talking about doing a new investigation. I said if they'll actually do their job, they'll find out there was a coup d'etat in the United States in November of 1963. So I've been on to this, since 75.
Oh, you have. There's no higher honor that should be given to a journalist than what you have deservedly earned for this. That's just I'm so glad you're here to hear this. We've got the bet. It's all here, folks. It's irrefutable now.
All right, next one along is not on my sheet, so I'll play it straight off the site. Here we go.
This is our challenge. Not to hesitate, not to halt, not to turn about and linger over this evil moment, but to continue on our course.
And here he says, this is a good con.
It is a good con.
God, unbelievable.
Yeah, let's don't investigate. Let's don't find out what actually happened. Let's just move on. Bind up the wound.
We'll get there. J. Edgar Hoover. All right, here we go. Another one on LBJ.
No act of ours could more fittingly continue the work of President Kennedy than the early passage of the tax bill.
And here he says, here the neck deserved to go.
Not
as clear as the others.
I got it. You know, that, would you please play that We Knocked Him Off again and see if you can turn it up a little louder? I want you folks to hear this again. This is really...
the best. Yeah. Okay, here we
all
go.
right. Just matter of fact, just like you're throwing the trash out. We threw the trash out.
Is he saying we knocked him off, or
that's
they
right?
Knocked him off?
No, we
knocked him off. We knocked him off.
So we, okay.
Yeah, we knocked him. All right, look, okay, let me jump the gun here. I'm dying to play this one. I'm going to jump ahead to Hoover, just a smoking gun on Hoover, and then we'll continue with LBJ.
Right.
And had police sign along the curbstone, looking at the crowd. When the parade came along, the police turned around and looked at the parade.
And this reversal says, and I killed them all, I make you.
Rense killed them all, I make you. Rense killed them all, I make you.
You hear that one?
Rense killed them all.
Yes, sir. We sure do.
Killed them all the people involved, and I make you. I've made you, Johnson. I put you in the role of president. I now have you in my pocket. I make you.
He was God, wasn't he? He was playing God.
Yep, absolutely right.
Okay, David, now here's when Hoover got his payback. He made him, and then in January of 1964, Johnson held a press conference in the Rose Garden of the White House, praised Hoover, and exempted him from the mandatory retirement age, and thereby installed him as FBI director for life.
Dictator for life. It's kind of like extending the lifespan of a nuclear power plant. There's no end to it. This is amazing. What I'm hearing, just amazing. I play that again, just the reversal, please.
I killed them all. I make you.
Rense killed them all, I make you.
And I killed them all.
Rense killed them all, I make you. Rense killed them all, I make you.
And you folks think there's not a satanic Luciferian evil in this country, on this planet? There you are. There it is. LBJ, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
That's okay. That's all right. Moving back to LBJ. I just had to play that one after playing.
Yeah, that's fine. That was very good. Wow.
All right, next one on LBJ.
Let us turn away from the fanatics of the far left and the far right, from the apostles of bitterness and bigotry.
And here he says, kill not sudden.
Kill not sudden.
Kill not sudden.
So they planned it out, David. They planned it. They planned it out. Long time.
Yep, yeah, that's exactly what that reversal tells me. You got the same conclusion I did. Yep, yeah, it was a long-term plan, and we know that Lee Harvey Oswald knew about it at least in August.
Yeah.
Now here we have a name. I don't know who this is, and it's mentioned once by LBJ and once by it might have been George Bush. I can't remember. It was, let me. Hang on, I'm in Hoover. Hang on, LBJ, Congress. Gee, I don't know why some of these files aren't here. Okay, I'll play it off my website. Okay, here we go.
That I rededicate this government to the unswerving support of the United Nations.
Uh-huh.
Hang on. Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. Okay, the reversal says, evil come will upset David.
Evil come will upset David. Evil come will upset David.
Who's David?
I don't know. I don't know who David is. I've no idea.
Is it a biblical expression?
No, I think he's referring to David Rockefeller.
Oh, there's a logical progression. Interesting.
Oh, interesting, yeah.
But I'm not sure why it would upset David, because David Rockefeller had been paying out of his own pocket for page ads in the New York Times blasting Kennedy's economic policies. So you'd think he would be, in favorable with LBJ, but it could be that LBJ was going ahead and allowing some legislation to go through that might, that Rockefeller might not have wanted.
Mm.
It's the same thing that Johnson did by ramming through the integration laws, okay, which I think he knew it was inevitable, and I think that, in fact, the only reason that they got through as they did was because he was perceived as a Southern conservative, and he managed to push through the civil rights law. And again, I think that number one, that was a distraction to get people's mind off the assassination, and number two, that was a way of assuring him, a good mention in the history books. He knew it was going to happen anyway, so he might as well put his name on it.
Very good.
Well, I'm sure that you can see so far that LBJ was involved in this right up to his eyeballs. He was, the reversal is just absolutely plain. There's just no doubt, as far as I can see.
No.
All right, now we've got reversal. I don't know what it means. Maybe Jim can help me out with this. Here's the forwards. Oh, yeah, okay. Now we're moving on to the phone conversation between LBJ and Hoover on the 29th of November.
All right.
Okay.
To appoint a high-level one to evaluate your report. Yeah. And put somebody that's pretty good on it from that I can select out of the government and tell the House and Senate not to go ahead with the investigation. Yeah.
Now, that's a very interesting forward, because he's saying, I want to appoint a commission so the House and Senate will not go ahead with the investigation.
Right. Yeah, he was very concerned. He was very concerned because both the House and the Senate had said, well, we're going to have an investigation, find out what happened. Also, Wagner Carr, the Attorney General of Texas, had said, we're going to form a committee down here and find out what happened. And Johnson was, and I'm sure Hoover too, was very afraid of having some commission that they couldn't control. So we have here Johnson saying, well, I can pick a commission and we can put a stop to these others.
Yeah, he also mentioned he wanted to appoint somebody from government, meaning he wanted to put his own man in there.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, well, I've got reversals from some of the members of the Warren Commission, so you'll see them too. Now, this reverse, I've no idea what it means. That girl was in the garden alone. Oops, here we go.
That girl was in the garden alone. That girl was in the garden alone.
No idea what it means.
When do you know when that was recorded?
Yeah, 29th of November, 1963.
Now, that's the phone call with Hoover.
That's the phone call with Hoover.
Okay, the girl was in the garden alone. Is that a parable for innocence or something? And looking back at Kennedy, he had no idea what was about to happen to him. He was
in the garden alone.
No, I don't know what it means, but I put it down because I heard it. I thought someone might have some clue. Anyway, doesn't matter. All right, so that's the mystery. If someone knows what that is, email me. I would be like to put a bit of a clue on this one. All right, now he's talking. Oh yeah, okay. So here he's talking about his closeness to Hoover.
You're more than the head of the Federal Bureau, as far as I'm concerned. You're my brother and personal friend, and you have been for 25, 30 years.
And see, here he says, I mean this, my love for it.
What the
hell? I don't get that one.
Yeah, one verse is saying, I ban that faggot, and then he says, I mean this, my love for it, talking about being a friend of Hoover.
Well, maybe I don't know. That's an odd one.
Yep, okay, no worries. All right, next one along. This is still from the conversation, of course. Here we go.
He was connected with a Cuban operation with money you were trying to...
That's what we're trying to nail down now.
And here he just simply says, and I'm the one to show.
And I'm the one to share. And I'm the one to share. And I'm the one to share.
It almost could be, and I'm the one to share it. Almost. It's. I hear show, but it could be his accent. It sounds like share.
Okay, I'll play it again.
And I'm the one to share.
Oh, yeah, I can hear
and
that
I'm
one.
The one to share.
Yeah, it's hard to call that one.
Share it, I think. Possible.
Yeah, I think it simply means, he's got the answers. He knows what happened,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Then we have a really interesting reversal. Where is that one? Very important reversal. Okay, here we go. Two reversals right next to each other. Here's the forwards.
And I want to put on some of the things you think ought to happen, and I want to solve your court here, get you in jurisdictional disputes or anything, but I'd like to at least advocate them as my opinion.
I'll be very glad to, indeed. And I certainly appreciate your confidence.
Well, thank you.
Fine.
Okay, two reversals. First one says, they choke me, God.
It's God.
And again. So he's under threat from someone, and the next reversal says, United States is on threat.
United States is on threat. United States is on threat.
Now, that's still LBJ, right? That's not Hoover.
That's LBJ. That's
All right.
LBJ. United States was on threat. A coup d'etat had just taken place.
Yeah.
And they choked me, God, all the co-conspirators in the coup, which I think Nixon was one, Bush was another. We're going to get on to Eisenhower as we go on. It's all here.
All right. Go ahead, David. Yeah.
Okay, so now we're going to move on to Hoover, okay? All right. How are we going, Dick and Jim? Is all this sinking in?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Quite enlightening.
Yep, okay, all right. So, okay. So
I have
now
a quick comment about that LBJ one we just heard, where he was talking about Hoover, and he first called him a faggot, and then he said, I love it.
Well, he's talking to him on the phone live, too, yeah.
Yeah, he could, LBJ could dislike the man, but like what he was doing because Hoover was furthering his aim. So it's not contradictory at all, in my opinion.
No, understood. Very good.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Okay, next one along.
Usually the presidential car in the past has had steps on the back next to the bumpers, and they've usually been one on either side standing on those steps at the back bumper.
And here he says, after the talk, we set it up.
After the talk, we set it up. After the talk, we set it up.
Jeez.
Yep, and that's just straightforward. There was a meeting at some level where they sat down and talked about all of this and planned it all out, and then they set the whole thing up. Okay.
Well, he said we set it up, and that's interesting. He's saying that in the context of talking about the footrest on the rear bumper of the car, because normally there should have been two Secret Service agents on either side of the rear of the car holding the handhold and standing in the little foot wells there, but they were waved off at Love Field in Dallas. In fact, there's that famous clip, you can see it on YouTube, where they're ordered back and off the car, and they're throwing their arms up like, what are we doing here?
The one, I'll never forget that, Jim. The guy on the right looked right toward the camera, held both arms, palms up. What the hell are you doing?
Exactly. Why are you taking me off this guard duty?
Yeah.
So, yeah, it was a setup.
Yep. All right. Now we have, here we have Hoover talking about Jack Ruby. And here we go. Here's the forwards.
Because they accepted him as kind of a police character hanging around police headquarters.
And Here he says he's a blank head.
It is such a kid. It is such a kid. It is such a kid.
So he obviously didn't have much respect for Jack Ruby.
No.
No.
Just
Ruby was just a patsy right along with Oswald.
He was another Kleenex in the box.
Yep.
Yep. Okay. So, next one on,
we're going to go, Todd, we're going to go about, let's go about 3 minutes past about 59 on the hour. Go ahead, David.
Okay. All right, next one along.
But then a number of stories come in. We've tied Oswald into the Civil Liberties Union in New York, membership into that, and of course into this this Cuban Fair Play Committee, which was pro-Castro and dominated by communism and financed to some extent by the Castro government.
And here he says, a mug will blank it up.
A mug will track it up. A mug will track it up.
And again.
A mug will track it up.
I think he was worried about loose ends somewhere, okay? And all his carefully laid plans would come falling down, and I think he probably went and tidied up those loose ends, but I think he was worried about loose ends. That's the only thing I can think of from that reversal.
Right.
Okay. Here we have an interesting reversal. Run this one forwards.
How many shots were fired? 3. Any of them fired at me? No, there was another. All 3 at the president. All 3 at the president, and we have them. 2 of the shots fired at the president were splintered, but they had characteristics on them so that our ballistic expert was able to prove that they were fired by this gun.
Here he says, end the truth of epitome.
The truth of epitome.
The truth of epitome. The truth of epitome.
I think the epitome was President Kennedy. He was the epitome, the pinnacle of...
Yeah.
He cut him down.
Interesting construct, but yes, you're right. Yep.
Yeah. Yep. All right. Now here we have an interesting reversal. I'm not too sure. Hopefully Jim can help me out with this one.
On that floor, we found the 3 empty shells that had been fired.
And here he says blank, the word starting with S, met Houston Mafia.
It's my Houston Mafia.
It's my Houston Mafia. It's my Houston Mafia.
Okay, so that ties in the Mafia, but why Houston? Because I thought it was Chicago Mafia who were involved in this. I mean, I don't know.
I would need to go back and check on this, but I think in my book, Crossfire, there was a Houston gambler who was arrested and put on trial. And in his testimony, he said that a portion of the gambling profits in Texas went to LBJ. So,
really?
Could
really?
be a reference to that.
That's very interesting. Todd, please
find his name.
Yeah, turn the music down, Todd. Let's go for another 2 minutes here, if we can, please. Go ahead, David.
Okay, all right. So we're still on Hoover here. Here's the forwards.
Now, there's one angle of this thing that I'm hopeful to get some word on today. This woman, his wife, has been very hostile. She would not cooperate.
And here he says, hit inaugural mistake.
It's an inaugural mistake.
It's an inaugural mistake. It's an inaugural
what does that mean?
Well, Kennedy should have never been inaugurated in the first place.
Get elected.
Oh, he's speaking retroactively. I got it.
He should have never been elected. So we hit him. You know, it was an inaugural mistake.
Got it.
To put Kennedy in office in the first place.
Wow.
It's a straightforward admission, Jeff.
He was. I missed the first part of it. Kennedy was Jim. Kennedy was a dead man from the moment he was sworn in.
Yeah. Yes.
Oh yeah.
Yes, he was. Yeah.
Well, here's the thing nobody stops to think about. I'm sure at some point they thought, well, we didn't want him, and he slipped in unexpectedly. But hey, he's Kennedy's boy, so I'm sure we can keep him under control. But then in December of 1962, I believe it was, Joe Kennedy had a stroke, He didn't die, so there wasn't any big publicity about it, but that's when they totally lost control over Jack.
Got it. Very good. All right, now we do have to pause for just a few minutes. We'll come right back on this most astonishing look into the reality of the John Kennedy assassination and the coup d'etat. Yes, yeah. Jim?
The guy's name is Jack Halfen, Halfen, former associate of Bonnie and Clyde and Frank Costello and the Genovese mob. Was the mob's gambling coordinator in Houston.
There you go.
On trial for income tax evasion, 1954, he revealed how Houston gambling netted almost $15 million a year, with 40% going to Marcello, 35% to Halfen, and 25% to Texas politicians, which would have been Johnson.
Unbelievable. Is that out of your book?
Yeah.
My God.
If people just read my book, they'd learn all about it.
That's it. As I said at the beginning of the program, Crossfire is the book, period.
Well, all these reversals, you're just supporting everything you've already just found.
Exactly.
Well, that Houston...
That's why, truth is truth. You can't alter the truth.
What a plug-in you came up with that reversal of mentioning Houston. Wow. Wow. All right, we do have to pause. We'll come right back, gang. Another hour to go. Hold on. Okay, welcome back. Let's jump right back into this. We have another hour to go. David, go right to it.
Okay, hopefully by now it should be fairly clear that what happened in Dallas was a coup d'etat, which Johnson and Hoover had full knowledge of. If not planned it. Okay, now here we have reversals seem to contradict the three bullet theory, so I'm not much up on this one, but let's just play it.
Any of them fired at me?
No,
all three at the president.
All three at the president, and we have them. Two of the shots fired at the president were splintered.
But this reversal says two fallen, there's 3 or 4 that hit.
There's 3 or 4.
Huh. There you go, Jim.
Yeah, no, that's not surprising. There were multiple gunmen, probably 3, probably triangulation of shots. If all 3 fired 3 shots, that's 9 shots.
At 3 volleys.
Enough.
Yeah.
You got to think it's not shots, it's volleys. Okay, and they were radio equipped, so it'd be ready, aim, fire, boom. You get one big boom, sounds like 1 shot, but actually is 3, and that would have been 9 shots. And the both of the acoustical scientists that testified to the House committee said that there were impulses on there that they could not rule out as being gunshots, and there was as many as 9 or 10. So there you go. And I can almost account for them, because 1 hit the grass on the south side of Elm Street, 2 hit Kennedy, 2 hit Connolly. 1 hit in front of the limousine, hit the street, and the other hit the sidewalk, and the other hit the sign. So there it all is.
Wow.
And remember, folks, one quick thing. When Jim and Dick and I did the program, we looked at the photos taken from the grassy knoll looking across the street, and Jim had mentioned that the curb had been painted that very morning. 2 portions, maybe 3 feet long. About 50 feet apart, Jim? Something like that?
No, only about 20 feet apart.
All right, there's your kill zone right there. And I looked at that picture, and they were right in that picture, boy. You can see them.
And right in between of those 2 yellow paint marks is exactly where the fatal headshot took place.
My gosh. All right, go ahead, David.
Okay, well, so here we have Hoover saying quite blatantly there was a lot more than 3 shots.
Play it again, please. Well, let's hear it one more time.
There's two fallen. There's 2 or 3 that hit.
3 or 4. 3 or 4.
3 or 4 that hit.
3 or 4.
That's exactly right, Jim Mars. 2 on Conley, 2 on Kennedy. 3 or 4 that hit. Yep.
There you go. Wow. Okay. All right. Next one along.
Neither of the police officers on either side made any move to push him away or to grab him. It wasn't until after the gun was fired that they then moved.
Oh, you must be talking about Ruby there, I think. Anyway, reversal says, but they're also not going to tell.
that there are officers enough to the tail.
That there are officers enough to the tail. That there are officers enough to the tail.
So, I don't know what the police had to do with that one.
Was that definitely Ruby?
They had to have some publicity within the Dallas Police Department. Okay, and again, if you read my book Crossfire, you'll find out that at that time, to become a Dallas policeman, it was almost mandatory that you belonged to the Ku Klux Klan or the John Birch Society. Okay, so all of the cops were white, and they were rednecks, basically.
Be interesting.
They knew that they could count on them to be quiet.
Jim, do we know how many of the officers who were in the basement that day met untimely deaths, if any?
No, not right off. In fact, I don't think that very many of them did, because they fell into two groups. I know this because by the mid-'60s, I was covering stories in Dallas, and I talked to the cops. And they fell into one or two categories. They either would slap you on the back, give you the good old boy, and say, "Oh, Oswald did it. We all know that. There's nothing else to it." Or they'd just clam up and wouldn't talk about it. So I think that they had that pretty well covered. They knew that something big, heavy had happened. There was a lot of fear in Dallas, and so the police, the city government officials, they either knew what happened and kept their peace, or they truly didn't know what had happened, and they were just kind of confused.
All right, very good. Okay, David, go ahead.
All right, next one along. Talking about the bullet that fell on the stretcher.
In trying to massage his heart at the hospital, on the way to the hospital, they apparently loosened that, and it fell onto the stretcher.
And here he says, bullet, part of the deal.
Bullet, part of the deal.
Unreal.
I love it because that bullet was planted. There's no question about it. Okay, and I even know who planted it because I interviewed a TV cameraman who saw Jack Ruby carrying camera equipment and entering Parkland Hospital right about 1 o'clock, shortly before that magic bullet was found. And he's not the only one. A journalist, Seth Cantor, also encountered Ruby at Parkland Hospital. So Ruby slipped in the hospital and planted that bullet. See, it's part of the deal.
Yeah.
Wow.
And Hoover knew all about it. Okay.
Sure. Well, he was part of it.
Who's he talking to that heart massage loosened the bullet and it fell out?
LBJ. He's talking to LBJ.
What are they bullshitting each other for like that?
Well, he's given LBJ the cover story.
That must be it then.
That's exactly what he's doing. Yep, that's exactly what I figured. That's exactly the conclusion I came to. He's giving LBJ the cover story. Yeah, I listened to that conversation 3 or 4 times with that same question you had, Jeff, and that was the conclusion I came to.
Got it. Wow.
All right, next one along.
The third shot is a complete bullet. That's what shot it, and that rolled out of the president's head. It tore a large part of the president's head off, and in trying to massage his heart at the hospital, on the way to the hospital, they apparently...
Oh, yeah, that's the same section. Reversal says, perception is a smaller threat than a garden shooter. I'll play it and I'll tell you what I think it means.
Perception is a smaller threat than a garden shooter. Perception is a smaller threat than a garden shooter.
Can you hear that one okay?
I hear it perfectly.
Yeah. I think the garden shooter, I'm sure it refers to the grassy knoll. It's in a metaphorical context.
Got it. Perfect. Yep, that works. Yep.
Yeah. And what the public perceives is a smaller threat. If they perceive that Lee Harvey Oswald did it, the perception that they're putting forwards is a smaller threat.
It's manageable. It keeps it simple. The lone nut, of course.
That's exactly right. Yep. That's
pretty plain.
Yep.
And didn't he say in that forward, though, that the bullet rolled out of Kennedy's head after tearing off a large... Please!
Yep. I know. It's
hey, this is early on. They hadn't got the story down pat yet,
I guess not.
Know?
My God. All right. Go ahead, David.
The next one along is a verse I already played you, but I'll play it again.
And while they had police signs along the curbstone, looking at the crowd, when the parade came along, the police turned around and looked at the parade.
And here he says, and I killed them all, I make you.
Mm-hmm.
Or not killed them all, I make you.
Yeah, nice and clear.
Now, please remember, ladies and gentlemen, these are subconscious communications and statements from the principles that we're hearing. This is the truth. This is J. Edgar Hoover's subconscious speaking the truth. We're not hearing forward speech. Some of these are shockingly clear. Most all of them are. And they don't sound even like reversals, but they are. Go ahead, David.
And it's so clear because it's such a high emotional time.
Yeah.
All right, here we have the next one on Hoover.
And he had to be subdued, of course. And his brother was then brought out and, of course, taken to the police headquarters.
And here he says, help the hearse see the dealing.
Help the hearse see the dealing. Help the hearse see the dealing.
And again. Just help the plot, you know. There's deals going on, you know. It's just
moving the scenery around. I got it.
Yep, that's exactly right. Now this one, I don't know what this one means, but I'm sure Jim will. Here's the forwards.
The third shot, which hit the president, he was hit for the first and the third. The second shot hit the governor.
And this one says, they doubt the pistol there, it will shoot.
They doubt the pistol there, it will shoot.
And again. Any clues? I know Oswald was arrested with a pistol or a revolver.
Don't say Greer.
No. But let me tell you something. In 1979, when they did the acoustical test in Dealey Plaza, and they had shooters from the sixth floor of the grassy knoll, and they had a man with a rifle firing from behind the picket fence on the grassy knoll, they also fired a pistol, test-fired a pistol. And nobody could explain to me why they did that. But obviously, since they were test-firing a pistol, there were at least one of those acoustical impulses must have indicated a lower caliber weapon, and they thought possibly a pistol was involved. And it might be. It might have been.
My goodness, how it all fits. Every nut and every bolt. Man.
And bear in mind, I'm not an expert in the JFK assassination. You know, these are just reversals that I found.
Well, I'm going to go back to...
Why would you come up with a pistol? Nobody's ever said a pistol was involved.
No.
That's incredible. And Houston? Oh, and what Jim had to put on the table about Houston, the mob there, and LBJ making millions a year on gambling? Oh, man.
All right, next one along.
Because he was strongly pro-Castro. He was strongly anti-American.
Okay, and simply says the mob's silly.
They weren't silly. They weren't silly. They weren't silly.
See, I think the mob were involved. We'll get to that as we go on, but I don't know.
No,
he didn't trust them, maybe.
He didn't have a lot of respect for him, I think. Go ahead. Let's keep moving. We'll get through this best we can.
Yeah, okay, all right. Now, this is a really interesting one. Let's run the forwards.
That must have been more than one man, because no one man could fire those shots from the time that they were fired.
Right, now this reversal says, no one thought the man now belonged to the Knesset.
No one thought the man, no one on the Knesset. No one thought the man, no one on the Knesset.
You hear that one, Jeff?
I certainly do. And this, Jim, we've long talked about David Ben-Gurion, an Israeli angle to this whole conspiracy. Now we've got a word that's unmistakable, Knesset.
Yep. So what we've got...
Well, it is known that Kennedy was trying to prevent the transfer of nuclear technology to Israel, which, needless to say, did not set well with the Israeli authorities.
Oh, no, he and Ben-Gurion fought about it verbally. Right. He said, we're going to inspect. Ben-Gurion said, no, you're not. Kennedy said, yes, we are. He knew there was going to be a Jewish bomb. He didn't want the Israeli state to have nuclear weapons.
Right.
So there you got a Knesset clue. Wow.
So far, we've got Hoover, we've got Johnson, we've got Nixon, we've got Bush, now we've got the Israeli government. I mean, this was a conspiracy of massive proportions. That's why it's all
That's why it's still been covered up 52 years later.
That's exactly right. This was involving the whole American government. It was a massive conspiracy.
Yeah.
Sorry?
If it had been a plot just of Pentagon generals or just the Cubans, anti-Castro Cubans, or just the mob, or, you know, it would have been found out by now. Okay? Right. No, this was massive.
Yep, absolutely massive. Yep, that's exactly... Yeah, because I haven't... Oh, gee, we may have to come back for another show, I think, because I'm not going to get through them all, but we'll get through as much as we can.
All right, we can come back. I've got an hour tomorrow night. We can come back tomorrow night if we need to. So,
okay, so
maybe I can get... We'll see. All right.
Next one along.
And we also have tested the fact that you could fire, those 3 shots were fired within 3 seconds. There's been some stories going around the papers and so forth that that must have been more than one man, because no one man could fire.
Oh, please.
Okay, 2 reversals here. The first one says, defeat the gossip, the taxpayers saw you.
Defeat the gossip, the taxpayers saw you. Defeat the gossip, the taxpayers saw you.
You know, so, you know, stop the gossip, you know, stop the stories going around. And then he says, no one sought the men.
And no one sought the man.
Oh, and no one sought the man.
And no one sought the man. And no one sought the man.
That's the 3 men that Oswald were talking about. They walked away. Those 3 men or those 3 team walked. No one saw them. Okay?
Exactly.
Wow.
Yep. And here we have another smoking gun reversal on Hoover.
And that the plastic top to it was down. Of course, the president had insisted upon that so that he could stand up and wave to the crowd.
And here he says, and I financed this evil.
Financed the evil.
Financed the evil. Financed the evil.
There you go.
Oh, my.
I mean, what can I say? It says it all. I mean, what can I say to that reversal? I mean, he killed them all. I financed this evil. We planted the bullet. I mean, you know, it's just, it's everywhere.
Jim, is there anything that you've heard that does not tie into your 52 years of research?
Not a bit. But I've got to throw something in here because I'm just afraid we're going to run out of time, and this, to me, this is just too good. This is a prognostication of the assassination that was done prior to the year 1555, okay? And I'm talking about the great prophet Nostradamus. And I'm reading from one of his quatrains, which one of the experts on Nostradamus writes, this is a very detailed prophecy, seems likely to have occurred, but I do not know if it's ever been fulfilled. But let me read this to you and see if it doesn't sound familiar.
All right.
Nostradamus says, the ancient work will be accomplished, and from the roof evil ruin will fall on the great man. Being dead, they will accuse an innocent of the deed, the guilty one hidden in the misty wood.
Jeez.
Hello.
Oh, my God.
The ancient work, political assassination, will be accomplished, and from the roof, from a high building, ruin will fall on the great man, Kennedy. Being dead, they'll accuse an innocent of the deed, Oswald, the guilty one hidden in the misty wood, smoke drifting off the grassy knoll.
When did you come across that, Jim?
Years ago.
That's a shocker.
That's
yeah,
incredible.
You can find that on page 262 of Erica Cheatham's Prophecies of Nostradamus.
Unbelievable.
But isn't that something? I mean, how much closer do you want to get?
It could not get any closer. It couldn't. That's astonishing.
This author, Erica Cheatham, she didn't recognize what that meant because in other of these quatrains, she makes the comment that it might refer to the Kennedy assassination that Oswald killed him. You know, she bought the official story, so it didn't make any sense to her.
Wow. Oh my. This is really emotionally.
Sorry, I didn't mean to go way off the track.
No,
that's I wanted to get
that's true.
I thought that was really fascinating.
That is absolutely fascinating. Thank you for that. That's just another piece. All right, go ahead, David.
Okay, so here we have the mayor of. That's all on Hoover. Okay, so here we have the mayor of Dallas, Mayor Cabell. Is that how you pronounce it? Okay.
Cabell.
Cabell.
Our best laid plans are not good enough without the benefit of a wisdom greater than our own. As we undertake to renew our spirit, and develop greater usefulness.
This was just after the assassination, and he says, Charlie knew it, he has denial.
Charlie, there was yes denial. Charlie, there was yes denial.
What a phony SOB that guy is. Jim?
Oh, yeah. Well, you got to understand that Dallas at that time, in fact, all of Texas, with the exception of George Herbert Walker Bush and John Tower, were all Democrats, and they were all thick as thieves, and they were all tied in with big gas and oil and big insurance, and, so, yeah, they all knew, they were all on board.
So there we have Charlie Cabell. There we got another name. And we'll just add these names slowly to the list. These are all the killers of JFK.
And again, keep in mind that Mayor Charles Cabell, his brother, General Charles Cabell, Earl Cabell was the mayor. Charles Cabell was his brother and was fired as deputy director of the CIA, he along with Allen Dulles. And so I and many other researchers are pretty convinced that Charles Cabell and Dulles were the higher level
architects,
instigators of the assassination, but of course above them was Hoover and Johnson.
And well, I've got a reversal that verifies exactly that. If you have time to get to it in today's show. All right, let's move on to Jack Ruby, okay? Here we go.
Came to the bottom of the ramp until the police officers had me on the ground.
And here he says, so fearful was the mayor.
So fearful was the mayor. So fearful was the mayor. So fearful was the mayor.
Yep, I don't know. So the mayor was afraid. So, and
many of them were all afraid that something would go terribly wrong.
Right. Yep.
Oh, can you imagine what would have happened if LBJ had flown back to Washington with Jackie Kennedy and Jack in the coffin and been met by a phalanx of federal marshals who said, "You're under arrest"?
Oh God, if only. I want all of you to remember to do this after the program. Do a Google search for LBJ and the Wink, W-I-N-K. I want you to look at the picture if you haven't seen it. Most of you have, perhaps. LBJ and the Wink. It's all self-explanatory. You'll see it. Go ahead, David.
All right, so here we Jack Ruby again.
So I walked towards the ramp. I noticed the police squad car on the head of the ramp.
And here he says, Dark Ghost sealed this order.
Dark Ghost sealed this order. Dark Ghost sealed this order.
I don't know what he means by dark ghost, but dark forces. He was ordered.
Sure.
He was ordered to go and do it, and he did exactly that. Dark ghost. Then he uses the word dark again in the very next reversal. Where is it? Here we go. Forwards.
No, but I recognized the police officer in the car that was in the car.
And then he says, dark, then I shot you.
Dark, and I shot you. Dark, and I shot you.
Yeah, it just speaks for itself. That's what he did. Okay? And then he uses the word dark again. I don't know why he uses the word dark all the time. He says, hang on, where is it? I'm dark, the soldier. Where is it?
He was at this time, Jim, he was already dying of cancer, but he didn't know it, right?
Yeah, but he knew that his time was short. There was a letter smuggled out of the jail.
The jail,
and he said he named Lyndon Johnson. He said, "I'm part of a conspiracy in the assassination of the president. I was used to silence Oswald. They alone planned the killing, and I mean Johnson and others."
Where did this letter...
Never has president been elected that has the background of Johnson. Believe me, compared to him, I'm a saint.
Wow. Where did this letter go, and how long was it covered up, if at all?
It really hadn't been covered up. It just hadn't, like everything else, it hadn't been reported on.
Jesus.
Because the media is owned by these very people that didn't want Kennedy or his policies to continue. And they have, kept the kibosh on all of this for all these years.
That was his final testament, and it was the truth, and it fits with everything we've heard and everything you've researched. Wow. LBJ was a gangster, a crook, a bastard, making millions a year on mafia or other gang-related gambling activities, apparently headquartered in Houston.
Yeah, not to mention the defense contractors.
Not to mention the military-industrial complex, kickbacks. Jeez.
Hey, LBJ, how many kids have you killed today? Anybody remember that?
Yeah.
You're hearing the truth of the JFK assassination, folks. This is what really happened. Okay. All right, next one along.
Had I made an illegal turn behind the bus to the parking lot, had I gone the way I was supposed to go, straight down Main Street, I would never have met this fate.
Here he says...
Never have met this what?
Fate.
Okay,
F-A-T-E.
that's what I thought, all right?
Here he says, I'm Dark, the soldier, now hit. Soldier being Oswald, you know. Is how
I'm Dark, the soldier Oswald has now hit. Done.
Yep.
He did his job.
Yep, he did his job. And then we have two more on Ruby.
And you know what's really funny is to hear Hoover. Remember, Jim, when he mocked Ruby as just a low-life throwaway?
Oh, yeah.
And Ruby played such a key role in this.
That was less than 2 hours after the assassination, and after Oswald had just arrived at the police station, had two sets of identification on him. One says he's Oswald, one says he's Alex James Hydell. The Dallas police are saying, okay, who are you? And he's being uncooperative. He doesn't tell them. And yet at that very moment, Hoover's on the telephone to Robert Kennedy saying, we have our man in Dallas. He's Lee Harvey Oswald. He defected to Russia. He's a mean-spirited individual in the category of a nut.
Wow.
So he had it all down.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he did. All right, David, go ahead. This is
next one along.
In what way? It'll be proven in a few days later what the charges will be filed against me, plus the fact of the assassination. A complete conspiracy against me, right?
And here he says, they share the powerful. The powerful help me take him out. And again.
The powerful tells me to take him out.
Oh, tells me.
See if you hear a T there instead of help.
Okay. You're absolutely right. It is tells me. You're absolutely right. Yeah, well, that fits, doesn't it?
Yes, it does.
Yep.
It fits. And then the last reversal on we still got half an hour. Good, I can still get through some more. Last reversal on Ruby. Where is it? Here we go. Here's the forwards.
Had you realized you had done anything? Well, really, it happened so fast and everything else. I can't recall what had happened from the time
Here he simply says, your masters were paid off.
Yeah, masters were paid off.
So his masters, his controllers, whatever they are, were paid off, you know. Hoover financed this evil. He paid them off. Whoever told Ruby to take him out, okay?
Right.
All right. Now we come to a controversial character, James Files. What's your opinion on James Files, Jim?
Well, I think he deserves further investigation. He's number one, he's still alive and in prison, so he's not going anywhere. Number two, he knows certain aspects of the assassination that only somebody who was there or had access to somebody who was there could know. So I think that he deserves much more serious investigation. I do know they sent the FBI in, and they came out and said, oh, well, he's just a phony, and that was the end of that. But I also know other FBI who knew those FBI, and they said, no, they're not telling the truth.
All right. Well, here we've got Files. I'll answer your questions for you, okay? So here's the forwards.
I walked around the railroad yard, and I was waiting for the time to pass. Time was coming on. And when I heard the roar of the crowd, I'd been over by the fence, and I got there a few minutes early.
And look, for those who don't know who James Files is, perhaps I should mention he claimed he was a mafia hitman. Is that correct? And he was one of the gunmen.
Right. Yeah, he said he was the gunman on the grassy knoll.
Right. So you marked the map is the reversal.
You marked the map. You marked the map. You marked the map.
And in his interview, he talked about a map where the route had been changed or something.
Yeah. He said you mark up the mat. You mark it up.
Up the map. Okay.
See.
You marked the map. You marked the map.
Oh, marked. Yes, right.
You marked the map.
Yeah. So he talks about that forwards in his story. So it's a congruent reversal.
You marked up the mat, right? You marked up the mat. Okay. The map. Yeah. Okay. Very good.
All right. Next one along.
My last instructions was we're going for headshot. If you have to take a shot, take it. But don't fire unless it's a necessity, unless you really have to.
And this reversal said, I should get with David.
I should get the baby.
I should get the baby.
Now, he talks about a man, David Phillips, who was his controller, whatever a controller is. What can you fill us in on that one, Jim?
Right. That was David Atlee Phillips, who was, by the way, he was CIA. He was the controller, the handler for James Files. He was also seen, according to Vinciana, seen in the company of Lee Oswald.
Right.
In fact, Files said that when he arrived in Dallas, he met with Lee Harvey Oswald, and he made one telephone call, and that was back to his boss, Charles Nicoletti, the premier hitman for the Chicago mob, and he said, told him he had arrived in Dallas.
Right.
And the next thing he knew, Phillips was contacting him, and he said, how could he have known where he was if Oswald hadn't told him?
Yeah. Anyway, so I should get with David. All right, now we'll look at the two coup de grace. Here's the forwards.
Motorcade, the best of my recollection, to me and my mind and everything is slowed down at this point. When the first shot went off, it's like it stopped. It's just like it slowed down almost to crawl or barely moving, or maybe it even stopped. I'm not really sure on that point.
And here he says, I know I shoot.
Oh, no, I shoot.
Oh, no, I shoot. Oh, no, I shoot.
You hear that?
Yes. Oh, yeah.
Congruent reversal.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Congruent reverse. He's telling a true story. And then he says this one here. Here's the forwards.
Did you ever notice if any of those rounds hit that sign?
No. I don't know if anybody else's did or not. As far as I know, their round never hit it. I know my round didn't hit it. Like I say, I fired one shot. I was on target.
And here he says, hit him with my round.
It ended my round.
It ended my round. It ended my round.
True story.
Which, was this a headshot round?
This was a headshot round. Yes. This was a headshot. This was
Jim,
the final
your thoughts on that?
Yeah. Well, it says what it says.
Yeah. Yeah, I believe he was a gunman behind the grassy knoll.
Well, that's the angle that the shot would have had to come from to hit the right side of his head.
Well, it all fits perfectly from his standpoint, from where he shows his position on the grassy knoll. It would be coming from, if you're Kennedy facing forward and you go by the clock, then it would be coming from his right at about a 1 to 2 o'clock position.
Correct.
And he was already kind of with his arms up. I think because he got hit in the back and his arms kind of jerked up spasmodically, but he was sagging to his left. So the shot came and hit him right in the right temple near at the hairline,
right,
and
exactly.
then passed through and came out the right rear portion of his head.
Yep.
By the way, David, have you had a chance to do the reverse of Ruby where he talks about people in high places?
Yes, I think I played one of that one. It was a very poor recording. I found it really hard to get that reversals on that one.
Jim, real quick.
Yeah.
James Files may be dead by tomorrow morning.
You think so?
I don't know, but I mean, he sounds
his story's been kicking all around for a long time. And,
yeah.
And, there's plenty of trolls who'll say, oh, there's nothing to that. He's just lying.
Well, he could be, but have you ever talked to him?
Yeah. I sat down across the table from him and interviewed him for about 2 hours. I got to tell you, is very strange because I knew all about his story, and I like to pride myself on being a good reporter. And I always thought, boy, if I could just sit down and watch him, look him in the eye, watch his body language, I think I could tell if he's telling the truth or not.
Yeah.
But I got to tell you, Jeff, after a complete interview with this guy and watching everything he said and did, I am still a little bit straddling the fence. I'm pretty sure he knows a lot. He may have even actually been there. I'm just not positive in my own mind that he actually pulled the trigger, but he may have.
What was he sent to prison for? Do you remember?
Oh, he's in prison now for shooting a cop. Although that's a whole different deal too. He and another thug, let's face it, they're thugs, got cut off by a car, unmarked car with two guys in civilian dress who jumped out and began shooting at him. Okay, and his friend returned fire and hit both cops. Files told me that he managed to get hold of an AK-47, but it jammed. It wouldn't fire, so he never fired around. And yet it turned out the two guys that jumped him and tried to kill him were off-duty cops. He thinks that it was a hit. They were trying to kill him.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
But it messed up. Okay, but still they put him on trial, accused him of shooting a cop, even though according to the details he didn't shoot anybody. But off he went, and he's still serving, as far as I know, a life sentence in Joliet.
Okay, your phone's breaking up a little bit. I don't know why. Hopefully it'll settle
Probably
down.
My voice breaking up.
No, it's the phone. AK-47s don't jam very often. That's a weird one. Okay,
yeah,
let's.
It is kind of weird.
Yeah.
Let me just play that last reversal again because I think he's telling a true story. Okay?
All right.
So, it's the forwards.
Did you ever notice if any of those rounds hit that sign?
No. I don't know if anybody else's did or not. As far as I know, their round never hit it. I know my round didn't hit it. Like I say, I fired one shot. I was on target.
And hit him with my round.
It ended my round.
See, that's clear as day.
My round.
By the way, Jeff, that the interviewer, that was me.
Oh, that was you, was it? Oh, right.
I'll be damned. That's your interview with him. How about that? Well, now you know what he was saying from his subconscious mind, and hit him with my round.
Well, there you go.
So there's the maybe the kill shot right there.
And then the last reversal on files I've got.
I disposed of the little map, the last minute change. That was irrelevant. I burned all that stuff. I've got rid of all that. The only thing I kept was the ledger.
And here he says, you tell a plan.
You tell a plan.
You tell a plan. You tell a plan.
Listen to how assertive he is with that statement.
Yep.
Wow. Very interesting. That's you, Jim. Wow.
Yep.
That's 52 years. You got around. Amazing.
Well, I've tracked down every lead possible, and it all comes back to the same thing. And here you and Dick and David, you got it.
No, you got it. This is sewing everything you put on the table together into one great big present of truth and reality. Dick Allgire, thanks for being so quiet back there and listening. We got trying to get as much as we can get done here. We may come back.
It's fascinating. I'm enjoying this. I'm just enjoying listening.
All right. Yeah. Dick Allgire is with us in case you joined us late. Our remote viewing friend who did so much with Daz Smith. And we've done programs. You look in the right column at Rense.com and look for the JFK box. You'll see it. And you can hear the program with Dick and with Daz and with Jim both times. And so go ahead, David, and we'll get as much done as we can.
We're moving on to Earl Warren now. This is the eulogy he gave for JFK on the 24th of November. So
okay. That's 2 days later, folks.
Yep, 2 days later.
There is nothing that adds shock to our sadness more than the assassination of our leader.
And here he says, the dear love.
Dear love. Dear love. Dear love.
So he was shocked by the assassination, okay? However, what I'm saying is his provocations are real.
Mm-hmm.
However, he knows that more happened. So here, there's 2 reversals that show this.
John Fitzgerald Kennedy, a great and good president,
And here he says, here they let boys snuff him out.
Here they let boys snuff him out. Here they let boys snuff him out.
Wow.
Here they let boys snuff him out.
He was not involved, but he knew. He knew.
He was not involved, but he knew. Yep, exactly right. And here we have another genuine reversal.
A safe course for us.
And here he simply says, sorrow choked this.
Sorrow, yes. Sorrow, yes.
Yeah, he's definitely emotional about this.
But listen to this reversal.
Surely there is a lesson to be learned from this tragic event.
And here he says, Hoover, your dark sin.
His dark sin. His dark sin. His dark sin.
Was he saying, let me hear that again, please?
I've got that as Hoover. Your dark sin.
I may have heard J. Edgar, I'm not sure, but I think Hoover, yes, is there. I just want to hear it one more time.
Yep, sure.
His dark sin. His dark sin.
It almost sounds like he's saying, Herbert. Listen, do you not hear an H and a T? Herbert? Like George Herbert Walker Bush, maybe?
Okay.
I don't know.
His dark sin.
Oh, actually, I can hear Herbert now. Do you say it?
His dark sin.
No, there's a V.
His dark sin.
All right, you're hearing it there, I'm hearing it here. Very good, thank you.
Yeah, okay. So he's upset, but he knew. Okay?
Yeah.
Well, all right, now we've got Alan Dulles. Okay. One couple of verses on, one to start off with. Here we go.
If you had 10 more commissions, you'd never get away from the idea that maybe there was a plot. We just didn't find any traces of it.
And here he says, tough was Israeli, damn with their day. Tough was Israeli, damn with their day.
Tough was Israeli, damn with their day. Tough was Israeli, damn with their day. Tough was Israeli, damn with their day.
Second reference to Israel.
Yeah, it's there.
Second reference to Israel. Israel was going to be damned or damaged by JFK's presidency. Okay.
Well, also let me point out that he says that he mimics the same line as Gerald Ford and others, Arlen Specter on the Warren Commission. They never said there was no conspiracy. What they've always said was we could find no evidence of a conspiracy. And technically that's probably true, but the reason for that is they never looked for one.
Got it. They created their own plausible deniability so they wouldn't be technically lying.
Right.
Listen to these two. This is on John Sherman Cooper, a Democrat on the commission, I believe. So here's the forwards.
We can assure you that every bit of the testimony will be made available to the press, the public.
And here he says, the damn evil will be enormous.
The damn evil will be enormous. The damn evil will be enormous. The damn evil will be enormous.
In other words, this is a huge plot. This is massive. As we look into this, it's massive. It's going to be devastating. Now listen to this. Here we have Cooper forwards. And he's asked if he believes the lone assassin theory. He says forwards, I don't believe that. And then Dulles comes in and cuts him off straight away. Listen to this.
Can you say if you still think it was one man? I don't believe that.
I think we better not get into that.
To hear him say,
my.
Here it is.
I don't believe that.
I don't believe that. Hear that?
Yeah.
I don't believe that.
I think we better not get into that.
And then Dulles comes straight in and cuts him off immediately.
Dulles kicked his butt, Jim, right there. He said, wait a minute. We're not going there.
Yep.
That's right.
Shut up, boy. Shut up.
That's right. Yeah, it came up about Oswald being a informant for the FBI. And so they the Warren Commission asked Alan Dulles, they said, well, you were head of the CIA. He said, if we go to Hoover and ask him if Oswald, was a informant for the FBI, would he tell us the truth? And Dulles says, no. And they went, well, then I guess there's no use in doing that. And they didn't.
Jeez. Wow.
All right.
Hey, when you're at the top of the pecking order, you just do whatever you want to and get away with it.
Above all laws, answerable to no one.
Yep.
All right, here we have Senator Richard Russell. And, look, I'll play you two reversals on him. I'll bring up the first one first, because he's telling LBJ that he doesn't believe that the same bullet hit Connolly.
Well, they were trying to prove that the same bullet that hit Kennedy first was the one that hit Connolly.
Mm-hmm.
And here he says, "You're a liar."
You're a liar. You're a liar. You're a liar.
So he's telling LBJ you're a liar.
That's what he's doing.
That's funny. Wow. Total more.
Well, they knew it. They knew it. That single bullet theory is the most cockamamie thing anybody ever came up with.
I couldn't agree more.
Yep. Okay, here's the next one.
According to that theory, he not only missed the whole automobile, but he missed the street. Well, a man's a good enough shot to put two bullets right in Kennedy. He didn't miss that whole automobile.
And here he says, "We won't know all the sin."
We won't know all the sin. We won't know all the sin.
Well, the conspiracy was too massive. You're right.
Absolutely. Massive conspiracy. Massive conspiracy. I don't know what to tell you. I was just so shocked about all of this. Look, we've got quick time to go on to Eisenhower. I want to play you a reversal I found on George Bush.
All right.
That could be looking at Eisenhower.
Okay.
And this is from Gerald Ford's funeral. So here we go.
Even the dark clouds of political crisis gathered over America. After a deluded gunman assassinated President Kennedy.
And the reversal says the crime avoided Ike.
The crime avoided Ike.
The crime avoided Ike. The crime avoided Ike.
Okay, what that means one of two things. Ike could have been taken out in a coup d'etat and killed, or Ike was involved and he skated.
Ike was involved and he skated. That's how I interpret it. He was involved and he was never implicated, never talked about as being involved.
No,
and
wait. What was the reverse speech line again?
The crime avoided Ike.
The crime avoided Ike. What I get out of that is because, keep in mind it was Eisenhower who in his farewell address warned us of the military-industrial complex.
Right.
So I think that they were able to bring the CIA and the Pentagon and get all this high-level conspiracy going without tipping off Eisenhower, without his support.
Maybe that's it. You might have
I think that's what I get out of it is that, the plan went off without Eisenhower.
Yeah. Could be he was kept out of it. And
I might be misinterpreting the reversals.
He's spotless. Either way, that's another clear one. All right, go ahead, David. We got room for about 3-4 more, I think.
Okay, all right. So we'll do a couple on Eisenhower. He's talking about Jackie Kennedy.
Mrs. Eisenhower and I share the grief that Mrs. Kennedy must now feel, and we send to her our prayerful thoughts.
And here he says he had to miss.
Yes, miss. Yes, miss.
What the hell does that mean?
Well, you see, if you listen to the interview with James Files, he was told that they had to not hit Jackie.
Oh, he's talking about Jackie in the car.
He's talking about Jackie in the car forwards.
Oh.
See, and Jim, that's why I think he was involved.
He had to be. He had to know. Yes, because that statement he just made, a day or two after the murder?
The same day.
He knew.
The same day.
And again, he said he had to miss.
He had to miss.
Okay, he knew.
He knew. Right. That's why I interpret it.
Yeah.
If they had shot Jackie.
That's true. Files said that they were under orders to make sure they did not hit Jackie Kennedy.
If they'd blown her head off, my God.
See?
Double everything.
Yes.
That makes perfect sense, David.
Let me get through these as fast as I can on Eisenhower.
We did not know the president was dead. We did not know when I got back here at that time that he was dead.
And here he says, there's a reason now.
There's a reason now. There's a reason now. There's a reason now.
There's a reason why he's dead. There was a reason for the coup, is how I interpret that. And then he says this reversal.
But, matter of fact, the last message we had was one rather of hope.
And here he says, we sent terrible headache.
We sent terrible headache. We sent terrible headache. We sent terrible headache.
See, that tells me he's involved.
He's involved. He's involved.
Yeah, I think so. I think so. And, of course, keep in mind, despite his squeaky clean public image, there's a lot of dirt going on about Eisenhower.
No, don't forget, to add to what Jim is saying, Dwight David Eisenhower is a genocidal maniac who has the blood of between 1 and 2 million innocent Germans on his personal hands, liquidated after the end of World War II, left to die in the fields in the mud. And that's irrefutable.
See, I think that's why Bush said it's a crime avoided eye, because he has never been implicated in this.
They wanted to keep the country better together, Jim Mars, by keeping Eisenhower pristine and crystal clear. That's what they wanted to do, I think.
Yeah, that's true.
All right, next one.
Will the nation be all right in a few months ahead?
Oh, I'm not going to predict anything of that. I just say this. The American nation is a people of great common sense.
And here he says, I bring it in a kid.
I bring it in a kid. I bring it in a kid. I bring it in a kid.
I think he's talking about Lee Harvey Oswald. He's only 24 years old.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. And see, bear in mind, this is the day it happened, okay?
He's too calm and collected in a very weird way in his voice. Yeah. He doesn't sound shook.
Nope. And, oh, gee, we're running out of time.
Well,
look, hang on. Let me play...
Todd, turn the music down, please. We're going to go ahead with one more, David.
One last reversal. He's talking to JFK, talking to LBJ.
Yeah. Now, to come back all the way just after we gotten out there, and we had to getting our children out for the holidays.
And here he says, I made you. That's the deal.
In
other words, he put Johnson in power. I've made you. I put you where you are. That's the deal that we set up.
Oh, that's pretty damn incriminating right there.
Yeah. Pretty clear.
Yep.
Oh,
okay.
my. All right. Well, this is an historic revelation. A quick comment from Dick Allgire.
Really quickly, remote viewers always like feedback and validation for their work. When I did my work, it was blind, and when I found what the target was, I had drawn a jowly man who looked to be an evil old bastard. And when Courtney Brown told me the target cue that particular target was the planners of JFK, and you drew J. Edgar Hoover, I thought, oh, no, I'm going to look like a fool. Hoover didn't plan this, but now it turns out that maybe he did. So it was very interesting for me to hear all this, validate my work.
He killed them all. Here's what we can do. David, how many more reversals do you have about that are relevant?
Oh, well, probably a few. I can do it in an hour if you want to
all
come
right.
back to
Well, let's do this. Let's let me see here. Hold on real quick.
Want me to ring you after the show?
Yeah, maybe a week from tonight, maybe next Tuesday.
Okay, I'll ring you after the show.
All right,
okay?
Very good.
All right.
Hold on, David. Jim, a comment from you, final for tonight.
Well, like I said, this has been great for me because it's basically validated everything I put in my book, Crossfire, and all the conclusions I've come to. And also keep in mind that I taught a course at the University of Texas at Arlington beginning in 1976, and lasting till I finally retired after 30 years in 2007. And that was the conclusion that we came to at that class all through those years. And now, finally, the public audience is getting to hear this same information.
I think what we should do is maybe put this on a disc of some kind and start including it with the book Crossfire. Stick it inside the back cover. Talk to your publisher. I'll give you the rights to it.
Okay.
That'd be great. You're involved eminently and eminently in every way you can think with this work. It's your work, and now it's pulled together. This is with a Dick Allgire and David. David, thank you very much. Well, I don't know how to thank you. How do you thank someone for doing this, which ties so much together? It's remarkable.
It's been my pleasure. I've enjoyed it. It's been a very interesting few weeks doing all these tapes.
Wow, just stunning. Congratulations, David.
Thank you, sir.
All right.
Okay.
Good night. And Jim, I'll talk to you soon. James, real soon. I want to compare notes on this. I'm just emotionally wrung out. This has been really, wow, amazing.
Well,
all right.
It's pretty hard for people who've been brought up believing one thing and having to change your opinion.
Yeah, well... Okay, my friend. I'll talk to you soon.
Okay.
All righty.
Good night.
Good night. And to all of you out there, thanks for being here. A hell of a 3 hours. We will talk soon. Good night.